Hey everybody, welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live. How are you and you and you? Great to see all your smiling faces. I see some of you are dressed to the nines, some of you are sort of casual, and some of you are already in your pajamas. You didn't know I could see that through our little lens here. I can. We've got magical powers here on the Jim Masters Show Live. I see lots of comments already here. We hope you're having a good day. It is a little bit of a crazy day these days that we are living in, but you know what this show is all about, right? Light, love, and of course, levity, or as we put it all together, loveity here on the Jim Masters Show Live. This is our entertainment lifestyle talk show series. We have done this for close to 50 weeks, over 225 episodes, 7 days a week, live. And also sometimes we've done 2 shows a day because we have international guests who are in other time zones where it's later for them. So we'll do an earlier show like on the weekend. Like this weekend, we have Mario Frangoulis joining us at 3 p.m. Eastern. So we're doing it 3 p.m. Eastern our time, actually 1 p.m., not even 3. We're doing it at 1 p.m. Eastern because for him, it's 8 p.m. Eastern European time, EET. So it's going to be about 8 p.m. there in Greece. So to accommodate that later time for him, we're doing it at 1 p.m. And same thing with George Hutton, the wonderful Irish singer and songwriter, really popular in Ireland. He's going to be joining us on Sunday, live from Ireland. And that show is going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, and it'll be 8 p.m. for him. GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, of course, Ireland, England, and Scotland. So, yeah, we do multiple shows a day oftentimes, and it's really incredible to be able to do that. Matter of fact, this Saturday, we have 2 shows. We have the show coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern with Mario Frangoulis, live from Athens, Greece. But then coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern, on our YouTube channel and on Facebook at Jim Masters TV, on the Jim Masters Show Live. We have a legendary music producer and jazz and pop musician, arranger, and composer. Terry Waldman is going to be with us here exclusively live, and that's going to be amazing. He has written music for many, many, many film scores and documentaries and network television shows and commercials and so much more. He's going to be here on Saturday night. How is everybody? We welcome you. We toast you. Now, we toast you with a mug. This is from Pine Island, Florida. And we thank one of our lovely viewers, Mary Bishop, who sent this with a huge box filled with presents. I couldn't believe it. This had all kinds of candies filled in it. But she sent this big box with all these individual wrapped gifts for Christmas gifts. And one of the things was this beautiful Pine Island, Florida mug. This is where she lives, in beautiful Pine Island, Florida. So we toast you and you and you and you. And thank you very much, Mary, for that beautiful mug and all the other gifts that you sent along, which you definitely didn't have to do, but we really appreciate that. If this is your first time with us, this is an entertainment lifestyle talk show series. I'm your host, Jim Masters. We started this again many, many, many moons ago, and it's an extension of my work as a television and radio personality, presenter, journalist, actor, writer, producer, stage MC, voiceover, narrator, and artist. And we love having all of you here and having all of the loveity. Last night's show was very touching and very poignant, very moving, wasn't it? again, this is an entertainment lifestyle talk show series that's done similar to Carson, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, David Susskind. It's about thinking about Dick Cavett a little bit there too, where we are bringing back the lost art of conversation mixed in with entertainment and food and all kinds of things with folks from all realms of life. And last night we had a wonderful show where we paid homage and celebrated the lives of Hollywood legend and actress Sky Aubrey, who passed away, as well as Dr. Kenneth Salier, who passed away last week, who actually was going to be our guest tonight on the show. So we had wonderful guests last night, and just a very beautiful show and a tribute to both of their lives. Sky was on in the summertime with us, and you maybe remember she was in so many movies and TV shows. She was on Batman and so much more. And her daughter was on last night, and our friend, screenwriter and playwright Edward Jordan was with us because he was a dear friend of Sky's. And then Lacey Carpenter was on when we were having a tribute to Dr. Ken Salier, one of the world-renowned pioneers of craniofacial surgery, which has helped so many children. He passed away last week. So if you didn't see that very poignant and moving episode of the Jim Master Show Live, we invite you to check that out. We want to say hello to many of our loveities that are here tuning in from around the world. We have two very special guests coming up and some terrific music. Yes, we have renowned composer Peter Danish. He is here on the show, and Broadway actress and singer Rita Harvey is with us as well. So stick with us for a great night of conversation and music and more. Sherry says, hello, Jim and Loveity. So excited to be back in Loveity Hall with all of you again this evening. Good to see you, Sherry. Mary Bishop is here, and I'm using that Pine Island, Florida mug. I thank you very much so much for that beautiful mug there, Mary. Thank you very much. That was beautiful of you to send that. And Anna is here. Hello, Jim and Loveity. So happy to be able to watch tonight. Hope everyone had a wonderful day. We sure are. And Sherry says hi to Ann and Mary. Everybody loves to say hello to one another, and I think that's what makes this so cool. Ann in SoCal, Southern California. Hello, everyone. Hope you had a blessed day. Good to see you as well, Ann. And Renee. Hi, everyone. Renee in Iowa. Renee, we have the package. We're going to open it tonight. So we're excited about that. Thanks for sending that beautiful package from Iowa. And Linda Odell in Florida. Good evening, Mr. Loveity. Good evening, Loveities. Good to see you as well, Linda. We love having you here. Willie watching in the Netherlands, as always, in Holland. Good to see you, Willie. Thanks for joining us as well. Julia is back. Good to see you, Julia. Watching from Tennessee. We love that. Good stuff. And everybody else. Carla, once again, one of our loveities in South America, in Brazil, is watching the Jim Master Show Live. Good to see you as well, Carla. Welcome. Bernadette is here. Hello, Jim. Hello, everyone. Here to try to relax on what is definitely a disturbing day. We can do a whole show on the craziness that's going on in Washington, D.C. right now, but we're going to have some levity on our show. We are the antithesis of what's going on in D.C. right now. So let's kick back, relax, and enjoy. Jennifer Zen, because she is in Allentown, Pennsylvania, wearing her cozy, warm, dark blue PJs. That's terrific. And Barry is here. Welcome, Barry. Nathan Carter is coming on a week from this Sunday. I think that's the 17th, Barry. Nathan Carter, Ireland's leading country music singer. He's really incredible. He's originally from England. I interviewed him on public television about a year ago. Nathan will be on, not this weekend, the following weekend. George Paris is going to be on as well. Karen from Pittsburgh is here. Hi, everyone. Such a sad day in the USA. I know. I really wish I could do a whole show on it. It's nice to have you here, Jim, to promote levity. Absolutely. Yes. And hi, Jim and all the loveities. Merlin in Canada. Good to see you in Ontario. If you're smart, you'll just stay in Canada for a while. Barry, is Nathan Carter doing shout outs? I think Nathan is going to be doing some shout outs as well. Bernadette, thank goodness for Jim's show and for the music to help us hang on. Christine is here. Hi, Jim and lovely friends. Welcome. Composer Peter Danish and vocalist Rita Harvey to the show this evening. We definitely need some levity in today's world, and we need global levity. We sure do. We absolutely do. Now, we're going to take a look at more of the comments, so feel free to keep them coming in. But I'm sure you saw the image that we posted of this fantastic new beautiful work. This is Simple Prayers for challenging times. And it's brand new. It just came out in December. And it's a work of art and a labor of love for Rita and Peter. And it really is amazing. It came out during the holiday season. Rita herself is a star of Phantom of the Opera, Fiddler on the Roof, Next to Normal, and so much more, as a brilliant Broadway actress and singer. And she's teamed up this holiday season with author and composer, and of course, BroadwayWorld.com classical music critic, Peter Danish, for an incredible special new CD, Simple Prayers for Challenging Times, which is absolutely beautiful. Again, I encourage you to get it, because if you are a little razzled by some of the things that are going on in the news these days, this will calm your nerves. Listen to this CD and watch our show, the Jim Masters Show, live every night, and your blood pressure will lower considerably. It's a collection of short prayers from numerous different faiths set to original music by Peter and performed by Rita. And it came out December 1st during this crazy, stressful time. And the idea, they say, really working as a creative team, was a godsend. It just seemed like something they could share with absolutely everybody, and hopefully bring a little more needed solace to everybody, not just during the holiday season, but beyond. And the CD contains original compositions and a few traditionals and fresh arrangements, including sacred Catholic, Jewish, Baptist, Arabic, Orthodox Christian, and other faiths texts. Really, it's absolutely beautiful. And there's special artists and guests on it as well. And we are, speaking of guests, so honored to welcome Peter and Rita to our show here exclusively. Let's welcome them and have some simple prayers together. Peter and Rita, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you both here.
Thanks, Jim. It's great to be here.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
You are very welcome. Let's talk about this amazing work of art, Simple Prayers. What was the initial inspiration for that fantastic, beautiful set of prayers and music all put together?
It's a bit of a long journey, but it all came together very quickly in the end. A couple of years ago, this is the long version. Yeah. There was a terrible hurricane in the Caribbean, and a dear friend of mine who has a parish in Haiti said that after Hurricane Matthew, they were not getting as many donations as they had expected, because the Red Cross, this is about 4 years ago, the Red Cross had gotten a lot of bad press, if you remember. Yeah. And so they weren't getting as many donations as they had hoped. And I had an idea for doing a charity song for them. And I ran the idea past Metropolitan opera soprano Aprile Milo, famous Met legend, and she loved the idea. Then we had to put together a song. Mm-hmm. And I had actually written something, but I wanted to do it just on piano. Well, when you're going to get a world-renowned singer, she wanted to have it done with an orchestra. So my position at Broadway World in the classical department helped us out. I was able to put out kind of a blanket invite and said, if anyone out there is a musician who would like to be part of this kind of worldwide digital freelance orchestra, let me know. And I got like 40 requests. And what we did was we put together a click track and sent out the music to everybody. And in the end, we got 38 musicians from around the world to contribute parts.
Wow.
And yeah, it was really, really wonderful. And the funny thing was then trying to pull them all together was a nightmare in post-production. As I'm sure you know, living in the post-production world, different recording rates, different compressions, different reverbs. It was just, oh my God. My poor producer, a guy named Frank Fagnano, who actually mixed and mastered Simple Prayers. Suddenly I said to him, here, take all of this. And he made a very, very beautiful recording. And that was the Ave Maria that I wrote for Aprile. And that actually shows up again on Simple Prayers. But at the time, I was so into the process of putting this together that I had the idea back then of researching prayers from different faiths and possibly putting together a song cycle. But then life got in the way, and it never really got finished. And earlier this year, a friend of mine who is the conductor for the Athens Philharmonic in Athens, Greece, not Athens, Georgia, a fellow named Yiannis Hadjiloizou, he stumbled across them on my SoundCloud page and said, "Hey, these are really lovely. What are you doing with them?" And I said, "I wasn't really doing anything with them." Why? He said, "You should record them. They're very beautiful." So I took the first 3 and I called Rita. Rita's been a dear friend for, 2 decades.
There I am. Oh. What is that?
Looks like Peter, it looks like your sound went out.
Yeah.
You can hear me, Rita, and I hear you, but
now.
your sound went out, Peter, on your end.
We don't hear you. Can't hear you.
Yeah. Your sound. Yeah.
Nothing.
That's right. He's like, what?
There's kind of a buzz, but I don't hear you.
Yeah, I don't hear him either.
No. Oh, boy.
Did you want to pick up where he was leaving off, Rita, while he's figuring that out about the project?
I'm not sure where he stopped, but...
And how you guys, well, you can mention how you guys got together and collaborating.
Okay. Well, I guess like he was saying, we've been good friends for a long, long time, for many years. And we've always, oh, that's better. We've always, I have recorded some things for him, some demos for him. And, he always kind of comes and checks with me about keys for things that he's writing. And he said to me, I have a couple of pieces that I thought I'd check out and see how these will work. And at first he just said, I have 1 or 2 I thought you'd like to try. And the more we kind of kept doing it, the more we said, let's make an album out of this. Let's find some more songs. And he had more in his arsenal. And it became a project. And we realized that it was something that needed to happen right now at this time in the world. And we liked the idea of simple prayers because we wanted something meditative and calming, yet uplifting for people. And so, we looked for things that were, once again, meditative, but that had a calming and uplifting message. And we also I was looking for a vocal quality that was, at first he would sing kind of an Enya-like, kind of breathy, and we were looking for more kind of a simple but yet kind of shimmery kind of quality to help people remain calm. And I found myself when I was recording, keeping it in that place, because I've majored in opera and I've also sung a lot of big Broadway belty things. So to find that nice kind of thread the needle, almost early music, Baroque kind of sound, I found myself recording like this right up to the microphone. I realized I was praying, really kind of in that prayerful place, and that's where I had to put myself. And it was a wonderful place to be during this time, and to get to work right now when our industry is shut down was a huge godsend, and to feel like we were doing something to hopefully help people feel a little bit better was a joyful thing to be able to do. So are you back, Peter? Can you hear us?
Peter, can you hear us?
Oh,
Peter?
can you hear?
Go ahead. You say something. Talk. Oh, you know what it is, Peter? There you go. It was muted. Say something, Peter.
Are you muted?
So he can't hear us either.
He can't hear us.
You can't hear us, Peter? Can you see us?
Guess not.
Now it's muted. You see how he has the line across his little microphone next to his name? You're muted.
Peter, you're muted. There.
Can you hear us
us?
now?
Oh,
I think he's having technical problems on his end. You
okay.
know, we have actually the preview of Simple Prayers. So I think it's a good time. We'll throw that in so people can get an idea of what it is and the sound of it and all. And then when we come back, maybe we'll pick up where we left
Maybe
off.
he'll fix things and we'll talk. Okay.
Yeah, I noticed a little buzz came in there and then his sound went, but he must have lost everything there. But here is, did you want to preface this at all? Do it a little introduction before we see the promo clip?
What this is if it's the promo, I believe it's the song An Invitation to Sing. And I know Peter, well, hopefully he'll be able to tell you, but he is good friends also with Stephanie Blythe, who's also a famous mezzo-soprano, opera mezzo-soprano. She had written a poem. She's also a poet, and he read this poem and literally heard music and asked her if he could write music to this poem. And it's really what a lot of us musicians are feeling right now, is just sing. We just want to sing. You know, we want to do our craft, and it's tough right now. So he wrote a song about just saying anything, sing, kind of in keeping with the Simple Prayers theme. Sing, doesn't matter how, doesn't matter where, just sing something. So this is an invitation to sing.
Perfect. Let's take a look at that right now. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's a little promo for Simple Prayers. And then we'll come back with Rita, and hopefully our friend Peter will be back as well. If he's smart, he's getting a stiff drink right now too.
Yeah.
There he comes.
Okay.
Sing, sing something softly.
From one of Broadway's most beautiful voices comes a new album that will touch your soul and lift your heart. Rita Harvey, Peter Danish. Simple Prayers for Challenging Times. A glorious new collection of sacred texts set to breathtaking music. In these stressful, troubled times, it's just the album you've been waiting for. Songs of hope, joy, and light that will thrill your spirit. Rita Harvey, Peter Danish, Simple Prayers for Challenging Times.
And Peter, you're back, but you're still muted. Can you hear us? Peter, can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Do you hear us?
Still can't hear. Oh, we can't hear you either.
I feel like I'm on Sesame Street. This is my ear. This is my mouth. This is my nose. These are my eyes.
Language. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so can you hear Rita?
Can you hear me, Peter?
Can you hear Jim? Is your mother calling you? Hear nothing. So he can't hear us. And well, your microphone, your mic is muted. Are you using? Yeah, your mic is. Well, now it's unmuted, but we can't.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, I don't know what he's using. I don't know what kind of device, what it is, but it is. Well, let's talk also not only about this project, since you're with us. Tell us a little bit about some of your early inspirations when you were first getting involved in, this wonderful world of singing and performing. When you were a little girl growing up, were you always a super entertainer?
Well, I don't know about being a super entertainer, but I've always wanted to sing. I don't remember ever wanting to do anything else. It's just been since day one. It's always been my dream, and I luckily, thank goodness, have been able to fulfill that. I've been singing my entire career. Majored in opera at Simpson College and then Northwestern. And then I was auditioning for operas, but also musical theater. Really, musical theater is my first love, and ended up in Phantom of the Opera, which was, perfect, and toured with them for a while. Did the Broadway company for a while, and then various other regional productions, and then was lucky enough to be in one of the revivals of Fiddler on the Roof on Broadway, and I think it comes down to wanting to communicate something very personal to an audience with melody and with song. I have to find this, but I remember writing a poem myself years ago. God, it's funny that this is coming to me right now because I haven't thought about this, but I wrote a poem when I was probably in high school about how much I love to sing and how much I like to be a part of the music. I like to sing because I like to be a part of the music, and it's almost like liquid joy coming out is how I described it. Liquid emotion, and it really, other people feel those vibrations and feel the emotions, and I feel like with this project, I was desperately looking for a way to be able to fulfill that again. I was so happy that Peter called me because this was a way to reach out, and oh my gosh, the response we're getting, I'm just blown away. People needed this right now, I guess, because I have other CDs, and Peter has other CDs, written other shows, other songs, but the response this CD is getting, I think we've tapped into something that people need, something calming, and what I also love is that Peter's idea of using prayers from all different faiths. And, it's to show that there's a unity, to show that there's a common ground, that we all need this calm and this peace right now. And there's common ground in all these faiths. And I absolutely love that we used the Rumi poems. Those are some of my favorites on this album. Anyway, since then I've done a lot of concert work with my husband, who's a composer also, Neil Berg. And we travel the country performing in concerts. And at the moment, not, because this entire year we haven't since March. And this was just a beautiful way to continue bringing music out there to the world.
Absolutely, that's right. And I think Peter's with us. Peter, welcome back.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. You did a reboot, right? The reboot might have helped.
Yeah, I was getting a message saying I was muted at your end.
No, everything fine here. Yeah.
That was very weird.
No, we couldn't hear you before, but now we're fine.
Yeah, I noticed that. Someone came into my office and said, they can't hear you.
And you weren't hearing us when we were talking to you, right?
No.
You didn't hear us when we were talking.
Everything dropped, and I got a mute on screen suggesting that it was, but it was not muted on my mic. Was not muted, but it was said muted. Very odd.
Yeah, something goes on within the computer on the guest's end. Are you using Bluetooth, iMac, iPhone, or any of that?
Nope.
Because usually sometimes it's that, but
all Chrome.
Who knows? It's still the lingering 2020.
I think so.
Yeah.
2021 hasn't officially started yet, obviously.
It was the protest in Washington.
The protests. Hopefully the lights will still stay on. I know.
God.
So Rita was telling us about her extraordinary background early on. How about you, Peter? What are some of the things early on when you were a kid that inspired you to want to go into music and writing and producing?
That's interesting because I always wrote. Whether it was for myself, for friends, for family, and
thank you, Linda.
I welcoming you back, Peter.
Hi, Linda.
You didn't hear what we were saying. We said he probably scooted out because he wanted a stiff drink.
Yeah.
See? That's why he disappeared.
I see Renee Katz loves Rumi.
Yes. I talked about Rumi while you were gone, Peter.
Rumi, yeah, that was kind of the thing. This particular, I'll speak about my inspirations first. That I always played in bands as a kid, and but I never had a lot of confidence that I could do it professionally. And I think that I worked in television for many, many moons. I was director of marketing for NBC. I was vice president of marketing for Telemundo, the Spanish channel.
Right.
And then I found that I was getting further and further away from the creative end. Because, as you go up the ladder in the corporate world, you start out as a writer, and then a director, and then a producer, and then an executive, and then a this, and then a that. And you find you're not really doing what you love.
Right.
You're doing what makes money. And the problem is not that there's anything wrong with making money, but what happens is it becomes a vicious circle because it provides you with creature comforts and you get used to a certain level of nonsense, and you don't think you can live without it, but you can. And what you find is that it's sometimes, for some people, I mean, everybody has different feelings about this, but I wanted to do what I loved. And as I said, I always played in bands and stuff, but I loved the opera, and I loved classical music, but I was never a good enough musician to really participate in any of that. So I was always on the periphery. I got the gig at Broadway World about 10 years ago, largely because the owner and editor had just been doing Broadway at the time. And he basically said to me, "You're the only person I know that really knows anything about classical music. I'm about to expand into classical and opera. Would you be interested in being a writer?" And I said, "Certainly." And then that became the same story. Went writing to editing to editor-in-chief, and you find yourself once again doing less of what you really love. But one of the things, I always loved the theater. And I had a tremendous passion for writing for it, but once again, it was something that I never had the confidence to really try and dive in with both feet. And I'll give a lot of credit to Rita and to her husband, Neil Berg. I don't know if you mentioned Neil before. Neil really inspired me and encouraged me along the way to continue along those lines. And it's been wonderful. It's been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And I wrote a novel a number of years ago called The Tenor. And our mutual friend, who you mentioned earlier, is going to be a guest next week, Mario Frangoulis, the Greek tenor. Actually, he was at Sony Records at the time, around the time that his first album, Sometimes I Dream, came out. And I'll tell you, ironically, this is a funny story, because Rita, you're part of this. I don't know if you even remember. I was at your house, Rita, and we were watching the Kevin Kline movie about Cole Porter. I forgot the name of it. DeLovely, I think was the name of it, Jim. Was that the name? DeLovely?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And Rita and I were watching this. Yeah. And there was a scene in DeLovely from Kiss Me Kate.
Kiss Me Kate, right.
And all of a sudden, this really handsome guy comes on who's playing Howard Keel, and he sings So in Love. And Rita and I both go like, "Who is this dude?" He looks like a god. He's got this spectacular voice. And we waited for the end of the film, and they said, Howard Keel, played by Mario Frangoulis. I'm like, who the hell is Mario Frangoulis? So I didn't know him at the time, and I wrote it down. I wrote down his name because we both said, "Wow, this guy's what a beautiful, beautiful voice. Mm-hmm. Oh my God."
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I Googled him, and I found, he's on Sony. Sony owns my company, Telemundo, at the time. That's interesting. Who do I know at Sony? So I called my friend Ayelet, who is the president over there, and she said, "Mario Frangoulis, if you hurry, you can catch him. He's in the city today as we speak." And I said to her, "Here's the deal. I think he'd be perfect for this book that I'm writing, for a film of it, because I'm looking for someone who's got movie star good looks, an operatic voice, the whole 9 yards." And she's like, "Hold on a second. Let me try and see if I can get him before he leaves." And she's like, "No good. He's already in the car." So I'm thinking, okay, I missed him. And she says, "No. send me a synopsis of it or a treatment, and I'll forward it to him. She forwarded it to him, and literally the next day the phone rings, and it's like, Peter, this is Mario. I love this story. Let's make a movie. I want you to come to Greece this weekend to see me at Herodias Atticus. I'm doing a concert. And next thing you know, I'm on my way to Greece, and Mario has been a friend ever since. Unfortunately, the film never got made. Sony decided it was too esoteric. The story's about a young Italian soldier during World War II who is a trained opera singer. And during the war, he finds himself stationed in Athens, and he meets a very young Maria Callas at the time. And the tragedy is she and her family are starving to death. But this young soldier can't bear the thought of this remarkable artist, he saw her at only 16 years old, that she might perish in the war. And he, at his own risk, feeds her and protects her. So that's, Mario fell in love with it. It was great. And it took place in Athens.
I loved it.
So, yeah, it's a beautiful story. Hopefully we'll do something with it sometime. Keep you posted. But that was another one. That was a chance for me to go to Athens a couple times and research, and go to Italy and research. These were tough jobs, let me tell you, Jim. Having to go to Greece and Italy for research was brutal. But that being said, it was right along the lines of what I wanted to be doing. I was writing about music. All of the things that I've done, I've written a couple of plays, and I've written a couple of books, and almost all of them are somewhat connected to music in some way, shape, or form. And when we were putting together this batch of songs, a lot of that research came in handy, because it was hard to find. Obviously, Christian religions have a tremendous musical culture to them, but not everyone does. For example, Islam, several sects of Islam don't believe in music at all. So you had to go to the Sufi.
The Sufis, the Sufis, they're all musicians. They're all about musicians.
Yeah, exactly. And Rumi was one of the poets who I adored in college. And I looked him up. He's the 13th century Persian. And I remember a couple of it's funny. You hear a phrase or two when you're 18, 20 years old, and somehow it sticks with you for the rest of your life. And the one that stuck with me for this one became the chorus of the song. You were born with wings.
So why do
you crawl your way through life?
And I love that.
Boy,
love
I wonder if anyone's ever put that to music. And I couldn't find it. I looked hard and couldn't find it, and said, wow, I'm going to put this to music, because it almost had music already to it. The line itself. The difficulty came in that song that he didn't use traditional meter. Mm-hmm. So it was a little bit harder. So you had to tweak a little bit here and there. And it's a translation to begin with. So if you read it in various different books, different translators use slightly different words in the translation. So I had a little bit of liberty to play with it. And what I found was that several of his poems had a lot to do with kind of self-actualization. And boy, oh boy, you get goosebumps when you read these words. And you say to yourself, this guy 1,000 years ago went through what everybody is going through right now. Mm-hmm. And it's stunning.
Very universal.
Someone who in Persia in the 13th century has the exact same feelings that I have today. How is that possible? What do I have in common with that? But it also speaks to a universality of all of us. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the idea behind the project. And I ran the idea, kind of philosophically by Rita, and she was 100% on board.
Oh my God.
And we were both I don't know if you said this before, Rita, because I didn't hear you for 5 minutes. We were both kind of dying artistically this year, because there was just nothing happening.
Yeah.
And we had friends passing away.
Yeah.
And it was just such a difficult time in general, that we were looking for a project. And this one just kind of fell into our laps. And it was such a labor of love that, I mean, it was so much fun
Joy.
to do the research, to arrange them, to write them. And I told Rita this, several of the songs practically wrote themselves. Like I found the prayer, sat at the piano, and in the time it took me to read the prayer, the song was written, because so many of them kind of had a musicality already to them that lent themselves very well.
Mm-hmm.
The Christian stuff, and specifically the Catholic stuff, one of the things I put, it's on the website and it's in the notes for the record, so many of the prayers that I had grown up on in the Catholic Church were very solemn and very austere. And it always struck me that a lot of the words to the poems were a lot more joyful than the music and the settings that I had grown up on. And I really wanted this record. And that was what I said this to Rita. I said, every song on the record has to be upbeat. If you're okay with that, I said, every single song has to be uplifting, or I don't want it.
Uplifting is the word. I mean, they're
Uplifting.
mostly ballads,
Yeah.
but there's a couple of upbeat things.
Yeah, that's poor choice of words. But but uplifting.
Yes, because that's what I was talking about before, with a vocal quality to it. Of these are lovely meditative ballady kind of prayers, but at the same time there needs to be something uplifting about how how Peter arranged them and how I sang them, how I communicated them. So you want to hear that smile in your voice, you want to hear that hope in your voice, as opposed to, I'm just singing it, a prayer because I'm sad and everything's sad.
Mm-hmm.
You want a hopeful,
a hopeful
lift to your voice. Yeah. So
well,
hopefully
we have one of those examples, and that's Alleluia, which is absolutely breathtaking. And we're going to play that sample so people can really feel, not just hear, but feel and sense what it is that you guys are describing so eloquently. Because I think, and people are asking, where do we get the CD? Where do we get the material? And we'll tell them about that when we come back. But this is Alleluia, and it's gonna knock you on your feet, folks. So get ready. Put a chair underneath you. Get ready to land it. Alleluia. Mm. Absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely. And you probably saw some of the comments coming in.
That was sweet.
Yeah,
Very
beautiful
nice.
and
Thank you.
majestic, and
Thanks, guys.
that really is sensational. And as far as including that one, what was it about that song that made you say we've got to have that one on Simple Prayers?
In my case, the story was that that piece of music is a classical piece by Gabriel Fauré. It's his Pavane or Pavan,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very popular, somewhat ubiquitous classical piece. And I've heard it done in a whole bunch of different guises in the past. But it just struck me as it's you ask 5 different people what that music feels like to them, and you'll hear 5 different expressions. And for me, it was always this kind of like uplifting, goosebump inducing beauty. And I was trying to think of a phrase, specifically a religious phrase, that would lend itself well to that. And I thought Alleluia is probably the quintessential phrase of worship, and many composers in the past have done Alleluias, Mozart, Haydn, so many of them. And I took this, and this gave Rita a chance to delve back into her classical roots, because Rita was a trained opera singer initially.
Yeah.
I don't know if she mentioned that when I was in the other room.
Yes, I did.
But it gave her
I
a chance.
also felt like, well, I felt like it reminded me, I mentioned this before too, of when you study voice and classical music, you study all music through the ages. And, I studied a lot of early music, Baroque music, and, and it reminded me of that, madrigals, and, which I adored. And to be able to go back and do early church and secular music was, it just felt so like coming home in my voice. And to sing Alleluia with it, which is it's a joyful word. It means joy, but it can also, other people have used it in other ways, like Leonard Cohen's Alleluia, so you can kind of put whatever meaning behind it that you want. It can be a sarcastic joy. It can be a, or just a joy in general. But there's, that's what I love about these things, that they're universal enough that you can bring your own interpretation to it. And I think I was really, I saw visions of early church services and, Baroque harpsichords and, that it just, early Italy and in Florence and things like that, it just, and early art, literally, paintings and things like that, that just, that gives me such joy. That's what brought kind of a swell to it,
Is that what you were experiencing as you were singing that?
Absolutely. That's what was coming into my mind. And it does, it kind of fills your voice. I could, even just now listening to it, I remember it took me right back to feeling that in this melody, and filling it up. I just love it. It's what I love about singing.
Peter, what was it about Rita that made you say, she's the one, I have to bring her in on this?
Well, Rita is, aside from the fact that she's a dear friend for a long time, she's a world-class vocalist, as you can tell. But Rita is also a very multifaceted singer. And I've heard her sing so many different styles and genres over the years. But for the past, decade or so, I've heard her predominantly singing Broadway. She's part of a very successful touring show, 100 Years of Broadway, that her husband does. And in that, she does a whole slew of the classic Broadway canon, and does it all very, very well. But there was an aspect of her voice, the straight up classical soprano, that I especially loved, that I had not heard her use and really exercise in a while. And I was looking forward to hearing that really clean, beautiful, crystalline stuff. And I wanted to make sure that the songs exposed that aspect of that side of her voice as well, because her high notes, when you give someone a long legato phrase to sing, a person with a beautiful voice, you can see all the colors and the overtones and undertones in them. And Rita has a gleaming side to her voice when she sings those things. And I love Broadway, don't get me wrong, but sometimes when you're doing a Broadway tune, quite often it's faster, it's telling a story, it's this, that, and the other thing. I wanted to give her a chance to just luxuriate in these phrases.
And thank you for that.
Yeah. And really, and let everybody else.
Word, isn't it? Luxuriate.
Luxuriate.
Yes.
You know?
Luxuriate. I love it.
Yeah.
And I did.
And when you finished the project, what was that feeling like when you listened to it all back in its conclusion? You must have been speechless, I would imagine.
It's so
We
funny.
didn't really
There
finish it
were
yet.
a lot of high fives in the studio.
A few more tweaks.
Well, in the studio itself, it was funny. I would do things over and over again. I'd want to try it again. But when we knew we had it, there was a lot of high fives, like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but sometimes you just know when you've nailed it,
Yeah.
You just know. But
Yeah.
then, listening back, it was a lot of fun, actually. He would send me a track. And because, obviously we're doing this at a distance, because of COVID and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's not like we sat in a studio together and listened, but he would send me a track. I would send him my notes, and he would either agree or disagree and, take it and tweak it. And then I'd say, can I do this part again? Or can I try that part again? Oftentimes he'd be like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
but there were, well, what about if we try this? Well, how about if you, add this harmony, but take it away from here because it's muddy, and, we would just send notes back and forth to each other, just texting basically, or emailing and texting. And he would, then play with it and then take it to Frank, who you mentioned before, Frank Fagnano, who mastered it, and they worked their magic. And, I'd finally give my blessing and go, okay, no more notes, you can have it. Because it's hard as a singer to go, yes, that's good enough, fine, because you always want to fix things,
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot of fun back and
Rita's
forth.
also a very, very self-aware singer.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from conservatory training.
Right.
And she knows when something's right and when it's not. And she knows when she can do better and when she can't. And so that's very helpful. When
So you push yourself, Rita, you're really striving for the best from yourself, which I think is
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And even when there were times when like, well, that's fine, but let's try this. Let's try this other thing, or let's try this other key. Maybe that'll say more what we're.
Wait a minute, you do that too?
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, that was in that respect. In that respect, Rita was a real collaborator, rather than just the chick singer. Because everything would start with me sending a demo and saying, "Is this a good key for you?" But that's only the beginning of the process,
Right?
Because then it becomes, how's the tempo? How's this? How's that? And regularly, she said, I'd love to do a harmony here. Can I add something here? Can I add something there? And invariably, her suggestions elevated the project. And it was a case of basically it was clear, when you're working with someone who's inspired to do the work, it's not a gig. It's not just a gig anymore. Then it becomes something, and like we were saying there, that I can't tell you how many times Rita said, I can do that better. I can do that better. I can do that better. And I'm like, it sounds great. You don't have to worry about it. But she knows.
But it's something she's hearing
She
herself.
knows herself well enough that she knows she could possibly do that a little bit better, a little bit differently. And I was a big believer in let's try it differently. Let's try a different take on this. Let's try a different, do this one more with a whisper, do this one.
Which is a lot of fun. That's where the creative part comes from.
And we found as much in the studio. And when I say studio, I say studio because we didn't there were no studios open. All the studios are closed.
Yeah.
So I had to bring my own microphone, my own Pro Tools into a rehearsal space and set it up there so that we could kind of emulate a studio.
And it's really still that way. I was in December, we were filming some work at PBS, which you guys both know. And matter of fact, you mentioned that's where you and I met in 2004.
Yep.
Mario Frangoulis happened to be there as well. And I was interviewing him and you were there. And that's where you and I had met. And boy, 2004, doesn't that seem like it was just yesterday?
It does.
2004. And all the things that have happened since 2004.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's amazing, huh?
Child since then.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. No, it's really amazing. But we were at the public television studio and we were filming segments for some of the upcoming holiday specials on public television. And the 6th floor building and studios completely empty. Only 5 people in the whole building. Everybody working from home. Even at a television station.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Have you guys been doing a lot more of that remote work at home?
I do nothing but remote work right now. But I will say one thing, though, that being in a rehearsal studio without an engineer, without a producer, it was a little bit freeing, too. You know, we didn't feel restricted and that was kind of nice to be able to say, you know what? Let's try something totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
I know that's how I wrote it. I know that's how I wrote it. But as I hear you sing it, I'm thinking, I like the way you do it better than the way I wrote it. You know,
Linda has this question. I'll ask this actually of both of you.
That went on.
She's asking Rita if Rita plays any instruments. Do either of you play instruments?
Peter plays all kinds of. I don't. I play my scales when I teach my students. I used to play piano, and that kind of fizzled. I'm so focused on singing and acting that I feel bad. I wish I did. I really wish I did, but I kind of let that go. So now,
How about you, Peter?
Well, I played all the music on the record.
That's you.
I performed all the music on the record, except for, and I have to give credit where credit's due here. One of the songs was another one of those things that came out of the blue. I was reading in this craziness of the pandemic in 2020. Someone emailed me a meme of or on Facebook or something of Mother Teresa's prayer of the, people are often unreasonable, yada, 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 forgive them anyway. And I read that and instinctively I reached for my laptop and I said, I wonder if this prayer, because it's so beautiful, it's probably the most beautiful contemporary prayer of the 20th century. I said, I wonder if this has ever been put to music. And I searched high and low and I couldn't find it. And I said, this is going to be a song. And literally, I wrote the song in 5 minutes, the music. And it just lent itself so well to musicalization. It was so perfect. I wrote it in kind of a slow Viennese waltz style. Okay, very papa.
Yeah.
And I loved it personally, but it definitely had kind of a Central European, turn of the century 3/4 feeling, and my buddy who I mentioned to you previously, who actually was one of the instigators, Yiannis from Greece, Yiannis Hadjiloizou, who's the conductor of the Athens Philharmonic, he heard it and said, let me do an arrangement for you. And I said, why, you don't like it? He goes, it's okay. I'm hearing something different. And he says, you don't have any straight piano tunes on the whole album. I said, you know why? He said, why? I said, because I'm a lousy piano player. And he said, let me come back with something. I said, Yiannis, we are literally up against the wall in terms of time if we want to get this out in time for Christmas, yada, yada. And he says, it's already up here. I've got it. I'll send you something tonight. And if you like it, I'll record it in the studio tomorrow. So I said to Rita, how do you feel about Yiannis playing the piano on a tune? And she didn't really know him. So, and this was kind of our project. And so he sent me something. He sent it to me on the phone, an MP3 on the phone. And we were in a coffee shop. We were in the coffee shop, and I listened to it and said, damn, that is so much better. So much better.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
And I played it for Rita, and she's like, dude, no disrespect. That's the one. So I said to him, knock yourself out. And he did this absolutely ravishing piano arrangement for it. And it just totally elevated the song from this simple papa thing to this mystical, magical, beautiful thing. And that's what happens when you work with people that have skills. They elevate your own skills. They take it to the higher level. And you got to be afraid not to work with people who are better than you, because they always make you look good.
I've always heard that, yes, to work with people that are better, because you learn from them, right?
Yeah.
You learn from them.
Absolutely.
And sometimes they'll even take you under their wing and show you some things that they're very happy to share with you, which I think is wonderful. Linda in Florida asks, so when you were making Simple Prayers, did you send the music to Rita in order for her to sing it? It's so interesting how you compose such a masterpiece.
Thank you, Linda. Basically, it would start with, I would send Rita an MP3, just a recording, quite often of me singing
And some
scratch
sheet
track,
music.
and typically just a lead sheet, chords and melody, so she could work off of that. And she'd tell me, like, right off the bat, this is too low, this is too high, this is this is that. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And although Rita's not a composer by trade, what you find is when you've got a superior vocalist, she knows what works because she's sung 1,000 songs and done 1 million performances. She knows what works. And quite often she'd say, why don't you invert this here? Why don't you go down the first verse and go up the second verse? Little things like that. That are kind of arrangement ideas that, yes, they made it easier for her to sing, better for her to sing, but they elevated the song too. And as I was joking earlier, quite often Rita would say, why don't I do a harmony here? And once or twice, I like the harmony better than what I had originally written. I said, okay, that's now the melody.
Do you notice a theme running here?
But more to answer Linda's question. Yeah, it started out with it would start out with just a piano and me vocalizing, and I'd send the MP3 and a sheet, just a lead sheet of chords and melody to Rita, so that she could get a sense of where the general idea. And quite often, the next question she would always send me is, okay, how do you envision this? As more a full open voice opera type thing, or do you more of a whisper, like an Enya type of song?
How quality that you're thinking here?
What are you looking for with this? And quite often, I didn't want to tell her because I wanted to see just where she would go with it, where her instincts would take her. And when I started to see over time, over the course of 12 songs, that at least 10 out of 12, we were kind of in sync. That was always a good sign that we were kind of hearing the same thing in the abstract. We were kind of hearing the same thing. But there again, like we were saying earlier, once you get into the studio, when you hear yourself with the track, you start to hear possibilities.
Yeah.
The first tune on the album is This Little Light of Mine, which is the, hundreds of year old spiritual, right? And that was a great story. I was watching PBS a couple months ago, and they were showing NASA had just done recordings for the first time of the sound of the sun.
Which is unbelievable, isn't it?
Solar vibrations. It was unreal. I mean, I had
goosebumps lining up too.
But it was one of those things that you say to yourself, wow, the sun makes a sound.
Yeah.
And when I heard the sound it made, it was like a hum. And what I thought,
I like the sound that came in earlier when we couldn't hear you. See, that might have been the sun. There might have been a little divine intervention saying, you know what, you left me out. There's supposed to be another box square that says our other guest is the sun.
On the CD.
But when I told Rita about the idea I had, I said, I want to take that sample of the sun and make that your musical accompaniment.
Wow.
What do you think? You sing along with nothing but the sun.
So freaking cool.
And it was really a cool idea.
Oh.
Then, of course, the problem is the sun is so amorphous and so kind of gauzy and out there. It was hard to hear when the keys were changing and the chords were changing. So I put a piano, just a simple piano, over the sun. Okay? When we were in the studio, Rita said, kill the piano, dude. Because when we took the piano out, suddenly it was her voice floating.
That's what I wanted, it just to be floating in space.
It starts in the middle and it ends in the middle, and it's eternal. And all I did was take the sun, the sample of it, put it into the keyboard, and then just played the chords using the sound of the sun as the patch that we used. And I still get goosebumps listening to it because it's so cool.
Because the thought is that this is a little light from far, far away.
That's it. This little light of mine, the sun.
And it's ours. And so, step back from all the craziness we are right now and just see this little light. We're just a little light in the universe,
Well, we talk about that on this show a lot. We talk about, through the craziness of everything, to remember the constants in life. The sun setting, the sun rising, it's going to do that every day. And if it's cloudy today, the sun will be back another day soon. The ocean tide is going to go in and out, and it's been doing that well before our existence. It's going to do it well after, nature and all these different things that are music, of course, and so many things in our life that even though it seems the world has spun out of control and nothing is familiar or we can't recognize anything anymore, there are when a red robin flies past you, you're like, wait a minute, there are some things that are still here, nature, the ocean, going out and gardening.
You can find joy in those things,
and the things that are the simple, routine basics. I mean, how many people have been baking bread at home now, through all of this, and communicating with people?
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Oh well, you didn't get that memo. It's 6 feet apart from one another. But 10 feet apart from the refrigerator. That's it. Yeah. It's well, how many closets have you guys cleaned?
All of them. Every one of them. The closets, the garage, under the beds, all of it.
And Peter reorganized all those shelves behind him in that room.
In case my wife is listening. No,
that's right. Yeah, she can verify.
Just off the camera that she's trying to get me to reorganize for months now.
Your wife is your truth.
We'll get into it, Sonella.
Your wife is your truth serum. Did you reorganize all the things on the shelves behind you?
I'll tell you the truth. I bought none of these shelves were here a year ago. Okay.
Really?
Oh,
I built shelves, because I had books and CDs and crap everywhere.
Well, let's see that. It looks like Rita is showing her a lot of people. Sometimes what happens with the show, do you remember? We were talking about this with another guest a while back, and I should know, working in television, the name of this show, but it was legendary. I think it was in the 50s. It was Edward R. Murrow sitting back in his chair with his cigarette,
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah,
big
yeah.
screen, and now we're going into the home of Jerry Lewis
Yep.
and his wife and kids, or Lucy and Desi.
Yeah.
So take me there or bring me, I forget the name of that series, but it was like he would go into the
Yep.
stars' homes from being at the CBS Broadcast Center, and then they'd have the big screen
Yeah,
go
he
in.
talked to them through the TV.
Through the
Yeah, they'd
TV.
be on the TV right there next to him. Yeah.
So with that, the audience always likes to know tell us about the setting where each of you are. So the room that you're in, tell us about what that is and what we're seeing, Peter.
Okay. This is my office. I have my CDs. I'm still a CD guy. Not that I haven't gone over to MP3s. I still I've got the great big speakers over here, like because I'm old. And I have my guitar rack. I've got about 6 or 7 guitars here, and I've got 2 little keyboards here, and just all my books and all my music. This is kind of my fortress, Paul Simon style. I have my books and my poetry to protect me,
Very nice, very nice, really, really nice. And I
Yeah.
like all the different guitars too that you have. You can see some of them to the left of you, behind you there. Really, really nice. And I'm a CD person as well, and still burn them. I still have all the cassettes, hundreds of cassettes that I've made, and I pull them out, and they, you know what? They sound really good. They sound, it's the warm analog sound. They sound
Yeah.
so good, even with the slight, hiss or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even really hear the hiss. I don't hear any of it because I'm hearing the music. And you can listen, put one of those on, and they'll go for like 90 minutes or whatever uninterrupted. And then we have a climate control storage unit that I pay monthly for that has hundreds of there's albums, there's reel to reel from when I worked in radio, I'm still working radio, but reel to reel tapes and sealed LPs and of all kinds of music, and pay for that monthly. Vinyl, and still have the big speakers and the double cassette deck and the turntable, the turntable, and the Iowa double cassette deck, and now that stuff's becoming in vogue again,
Very
it's
popular again. Vinyl's back.
It is.
vinyl is back. That's right. Exactly. Like Linda says, I'm a vinyl gal myself, but love CDs too. And now tell us the room that you're in, Rita. Inquiring minds want to know.
It's funny. Normally I would be upstairs. Our living room has the grand piano, and I put together so many shelves like Peter did, and organized all our sheet music and all our, books of music. That's all upstairs though. I am actually in our finished basement because this is kind of my sanctuary. My son's upstairs trying to do remote homework, which involves being online and talking to other people. So he's upstairs. My husband is often playing the piano, or he's trying to watch TV right now. So I am in my sanctuary in the finished basement, where, speaking of, I can move this around because this is my iPad. Speaking of over here, I put this shelf together. I have 2 turntables and a bunch of vinyl CDs. This is kind of the vinyl CD area, but it is also the baseball card lab, because right now there's tons of baseball cards being organized because my husband and son are baseball freaks. And this basement is basically the baseball shrine. So it's all the baseball paraphernalia, but it is also my yoga studio and my gym and my son's gym. So you guys are still there, right? So
Yep, we're still there.
did you
We're
hear?
just each
lost
section has its own little area. I
Oh,
like
area,
that.
yeah. So this is the yoga studio / gym, and that's
So when you
where-
come back next time, Rita, we'll have you singing while
Well,
doing yoga moves.
So good. Love it. It helps.
That is fantastic. And this here is our home studio. We're keeping people in a happy mood, so we still have the holiday Christmas sort of look to it with the tree and the lights and the the gifts and all the different holiday things. We figured I was away last week. We were on holiday vacation, which is rare for me, but we were doing that. So I said, you know what, when we come back on Monday, we're going to keep the color and vibrancy up, just because it's an polar opposite of some of the darkness that's going on out there these days. So this is the home studio here, and built this back in late April, May. I work out of the house when I do the daily radio shows too, which is a blessing to have the technology to be able to do that in my professional work. But for this TV series thing here, we built this home studio, and the tree isn't usually there. There's usually the guitar there, and the lights, colors change and everything. But we said, you know what, let's just keep it. This year, people were very eager to have the holidays start actually earlier. Usually when the stores have the Christmas stuff out before it's even Halloween, there are people like, oh, what are they doing that for? This year, a lot of people didn't have a problem with that. And when the stations started playing the Christmas music a little bit earlier, people were actually saying, you know what, compared to everything else that's been going on, I love Christmas music anyway. I have tons of it, a big collector of it. And it just really was one of those constants that comes back every year, no matter what goes on during the year. Here comes Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa and the New Year and the whole thing. We weren't able to all celebrate it like we normally would, but still we can surround ourselves with, the beauty of it and the colors and the beautiful music of it as well. And speaking of which, people asked about this one, and we do have Mother Teresa. I'd love to play that one too.
Oh, great. I love
you were referencing that earlier. Let's preface that a little bit. Do a little intro for us before in case somebody joined us late, about Mother Teresa, and then we'll play it, you guys.
Mother Teresa was originally a kind of a Viennese waltz that I had done with strings and brass. And my friend Yiannis, who is the conductor of the Athens Philharmonic, heard it and said, let me do a piano arrangement. And that he literally did this. And he said, you don't have any solo piano songs on the album. You've got all these, multiple instrument things. Do something simple, just piano. I said, okay. And he did a take for us. It sounded wonderful. It sounded much more in tune with the lyrics, frankly.
Yeah.
Than what I had done as an arrangement.
The lyrics are just stunning, and I've been thinking about them a lot lately.
Today I was thinking about them.
We'll just leave it at that.
People are often irrational, and forgive them anyway.
Forgive them anyway. It's the hardest thing, but it's
the hardest thing to do. But boy, oh boy.
Mm.
So, but when I played the arrangement for Rita, she fell in love with it and said, "That's the one. Let's keep it." And it was the one. It's gorgeous. He does a beautiful job with it. Yeah.
All right, gang. So here is Mother Teresa. This is on Simple Prayers. And when we come back, we'll tell you how you can acquire it. Every single song is absolutely breathtaking. And I love all this kind of material. And it's when we were talking about putting this episode together, you and I, Peter, I said, this is so befitting of the message that we try, even with all of our levity and
on the show
and everything that we do. It's so appropriate for sort of the feeling and the warmth and the vibe we try to do on this show. So thanks for, you guys connecting with us to present it to our audience. We really appreciate you guys sharing it with us like this. And here's a little more, gang. Get ready. Here comes Mother Teresa. Enjoy.
People are often self-centered, irrational. Forgive them anyway.
And I like the way you were swaying back and forth to it, Rita. Were you reliving the song? It's absolutely beautiful. And
Absolutely.
with the words to that, it's so topical too. Did you record that in Washington, D.C. by any chance? Or?
No, but it
I
comes back
think
to
you
me.
need to drive through DC right now, blasting that song through on the top of a van with a bullhorn.
Yeah.
You're not kidding.
It's so beautiful, and so it's incredible. It's bottom line, really talking about, you know, some of the nonsensical things that we get so hung up on, and how we how people hold grudges, and how we just don't. You know, I'm a Libra, so I'm all about balance and harmony. And people will say, gee, you Libras really got your work cut out for you with everything that goes on planet Earth. I said, I know, we should have been born on Venus, the planet of love.
Well, I'm a Leo, okay?
So you're the Leo. That's
He's a perfect Leo.
he's an exact Libra.
I'm a Cancer, so
Oh,
I'm an emotional mover.
everything is inside, and yes, absolutely. But that's
So
why you're able to interpret and translate the material, because it really flows through you.
And it's funny, I'm not joking. This song's been going through my head the last few days because of what's going on in the world, and because I made a pledge to myself on New Year's. I said, what do I need to, it's not about, you know, resolutions, New Year's resolutions. It's about what do I need to let go of for the last year so I can move on. And it was all the anger and the bitterness and the hate. I personally need to let go of that. Oh my God, it's hard. It's really hard. And it's an ongoing process. But this song helps to remind me of that. That's why this song keeps going through my head. Because we have to try at least, you know.
Sherry says, wow, gorgeous, which I think is, a lot of comments have been coming in. Merlin in Ontario, Canada says, absolutely love Rita's voice and the piano. Bravo. Kathleen in New York City says, very pretty, angelic. Mary Bishop in Florida says, so beautiful. Linda in St. Augustine, Florida says, Rita was singing to the heavens with that song. Amazing. Juanita, one of our regular Loveity viewers watching in South Africa. Fantastic song. Love the cover art of the CD as well. Who did that?
Cover art, ironically enough, was someone who works with the deviantart.com site. Are you guys familiar with them?
Sure.
Basically, thousands and thousands and thousands of artists contribute their stuff to there. And they put it up there for you to take, and then
that's another story, but
and then play with. And they encourage you to basically take it and run with it. And the original cover art was a black and white, kind of a misty photograph that I worked with our designer down in Venezuela, of all places. And he said, the photographs you send me are all in the woods and they're all colorful, but the cover is black and white. And Rita said, yeah, can't we do something with it?
Well, I had originally thought maybe like a blue wash, like a comic blue.
And we looked at a blue wash, and we looked at
pretty. I loved it, but
the more autumnal looking one. And when I thought this is going to come out around Thanksgiving, so let's go with the more the leaves falling kind of autumnal look. And he also gave it a kind of a quality to make it look more like a painting than a photograph. And we're getting raves on the cover art. Everyone's loving it, which is nice to hear.
The back side was actually taken.
The photograph on the back was taken by my lovely wife, Sanella.
Yay, Sanella.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is she a photographer? Does she do photography?
She's a wonderful photographer, but that's not what she does. That's just a hobby for her. And she's taken the photographs for two of my books too, ironically enough. And this shot this shot, it was one of those days. This was taken at Rockland Lake in Congers, New York. And we are literally at the water's edge, and the sun is setting over the mountain, and the sun is reflecting off the water, and you see the light in Rita's face.
Yeah.
That's all the sun glimmering off the water. And Sinella's like, stop, don't move, stay right there. And I don't even think we posed for this one per se. This was one that just kind of happened, and it was like, oh my God, this one
was
had
the best one of all of them.
It was the best, and it had like it actually had attitude. You know, when we're not posing, it actually looked more like us. You know, which was good.
That's us right there. Yep.
Yeah,
that's terrific. It's a cool shot.
It was beautiful. Yeah.
Wow. It was a great day.
Yeah, huh? I mean, that's so. This is, like I said, it's really been a labor of love, and has come to. What's the overall response been to Simple Prayers? I mean, would you say, is it born out of everything that's been going on, or did that just happen to, the timing of it just happened to coincide with everything that's been going on?
No, it was kind of born out for me. Born out of the frustration.
The timing of it is because we did it partly because of what's going on, you know. So, so the timing of it does help. And I was saying earlier, and I was saying to my mom the other day, the response has been unbelievable. And you know, I have other CDs. Peter has other things that he's written, and we've had wonderful responses. But this has been amazing. And my mom said, you know, it's partly the time. People needed something like this to calm down, to get peaceful and meditative, and to pray and to feel connected across the board to something universal, you know, because it's all different faiths, and it's something I think that was really needed right now. I really do.
You guys mentioned Rumi earlier, and talking about all different faiths. We actually have that one too. So did you want to share that with our loveity audience around the world? Did you want to again preface that a little bit for us?
Go ahead.
Well, as we said earlier, the line "You were born with wings" has stuck with me since college. I remember reading that and just thinking it was just the greatest one-line phrase. You were born with wings, so why do you crawl through life? And I thought, wow, that line in and of itself is all you need to hear. It says everything. But Rumi, God, I get emotional talking about his poetry because it's so beautiful, and it's so visual, because there are a couple of expressions. What I did was I took 2 or 3 Rumi poems that were similar in style, and took a stanza from one, a stanza from another, and combined them thematically. Because the line, "You were born with wings, so why do you crawl through life?" Stuck with me my whole life. And there's another one that I know Rita loves. "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the whole ocean in a single drop." And I put the 2 of them together, and that became the birth of the song. And then it was a case of just putting together a couple of other lines from the poem that lent themselves well. And it was almost a case of there were so many beautiful lines. I mean, if you haven't read Rumi, I strongly recommend it to every human being on earth. It will make you a better person. It'll make you a happier person. It'll make you a more grateful person. It'll show the common humanity that we all possess. And it's the reason I mentioned it earlier, that how could this Muslim poet from Persia in the 13th century see into my heart so closely and understand how I feel every single day? How is that possible? And it speaks to our common humanity. And when I gave the song to Rita initially, I think it was just like an acoustic guitar on the first version. But what I wanted to do was give it a little bit more of a Persian feeling. And that was what I did by adding some tablas and some Middle Eastern drums and a sitar to try and take you away a little bit and take you on a little bit of a journey. So that was the idea behind it.
Beautiful. Absolutely. And what was it like being involved with that, Rita, from your end? Yeah.
What's funny is that I kind of only recently discovered Rumi because I've been doing so much yoga, and the yoga studio that I Zoom with, they read a Rumi poem every day before we start, and I've been struck by how down to earth and accessible it is. And this is, like you said, back in the 13th century, this guy was writing, and it speaks to what you're feeling right now. Like it could have been written today. So when he said he'd written some, he'd set some Rumi poems, I was like, my God, of course. And then he sent it to me, and exactly, he said, that's my favorite line. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the whole ocean in a single drop. Just sums up the whole spiritual journey that I feel like we're going through. So it was heaven. And the line that starts the song and ends the song, it was hard for me. I wanted to show real vulnerability, but then when I heard it, I was like, that's too vulnerable. But we left it in. We left it that way, and so you'll see what I mean, because it sounds almost like I'm emotional, or I'm too emotional, but we left it in because it says what it needs to say. So
Joe Ratty, John Sell says, and join together. I'll say it again. Peter's a musical genius. He said he's expressed that a couple of times tonight. Yeah, I want to make sure you guys saw that.
I guess the check cleared then, huh?
Check is cleared. Tesla Bella says, thank you so much, Peter. How touching.
Thank you.
Rini Katz, thank you, Jim, for having such beauty on your show. My pleasure. Rini's, yeah, wonderful. She was a guest on our show in the summertime, and she's wonderful. It's just another wonderful ray of light. All right, folks, here is Rumi. You're going to really enjoy this, and then we'll be back with more with our illustrious guests, Peter and Rita.
You're not
So beautiful. You almost don't want it to end.
Thanks.
It really is. I tell you, you guys are a master of what you do, and you're really touching the hearts of our loveity viewers just by seeing the comments come in. Again, I'm a very viewer, bring folks in type of host, and always have been. There are no words to describe how wonderful this music is and the feeling that it gives from wonderful Ann Wozni.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you.
And she's a very loving woman, lives in the Carolinas there. And she sent me this wonderful, back around Thanksgiving, this wonderful package that had they're really good, chocolate, all different kinds of pecans covered in many different kinds of chocolate. And then she wrote this beautiful handwritten note about how when she was a kid, she and her siblings would pick the pecans from their pecan trees in Carolinas, and they would sell them to this this plantation where they made the pecan treats, and they would take the money that they would get from selling the pecans from their pecan trees, and they would use them to buy their Christmas gifts when they were kids.
Wow.
That's the kind of person Ann was. So when she sent me these pecans from the Carolinas that were delicious, and they're long gone, Ann, they didn't last long.
Of course they are.
Just this beautiful note about, and that's the kind of people that follow us here on the show. Merlin in Ontario, what a beautiful CD. You got claps, hearts, prayers. Bernadette, wow, these lyrics along with this music, heart. Tess LaBella, who's also a wonderful actress, comedian, and voice artist. Great person. Thank you, Jim. Such an amazing evening. As always, tonight feels different. Really appreciate all your celebrities. My pleasure. Sherry says, such perfect guests and music for tonight, Jim. Thank you. This is exactly what we all need right now. I know you guys would love this. Absolutely love this. And more coming in here. I think this is beautiful. Thank you, Jim, for having such beauty on your show. My pleasure. What serendipity to have this subject on the show tonight.
Right.
Thank you so much, Peter. How touching.
Yes.
Yeah, this is sounds like divine intervention when listening to the song. Really beautiful background music. Yeah, surround your home with music like this. Put it in your car. And oh my goodness, from Juanita in South Africa, loving it as well. And it's late into the hour for her. It's like, really, was it 3 a.m. or something, Juanita?
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, you know what I do when New Year's Eve comes? I always talk to fans and family and colleagues who are in time zones where the ball hasn't dropped yet and it's not New Year's Eve. And they'll check in with me to ask me if tomorrow is going to be a good day, because for them, they're still 3 hours back. So, did the world explode or implode? No, it's okay. It's past midnight.
Today was not a good day to ask, though.
Today, it sort of imploded here and there. Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciating these heavenly songs tonight. They do make us feel meditative, as I said before, an inspiring evening of music and guests. Thanks, my pleasure. And of course, Rini and everybody wants to know, where can they get the CD? Where do they find the music?
The music is available everywhere. It's on 200 platforms. It's on Amazon. It's you can just go to our website and purchase it there, which is simpleprayers.org. We couldn't do .com; it was taken.
I waited 20 plus years to finally get jimmasters.com. I have .net, I've got .live, .tv, but somebody had it for years and years and years, and I believe he was a singer in England of the same name, because Masters is a British name, English name, and suddenly, in this past summer, I just typed it in and said, "What the heck?"
What's
and
that?
It became available after 20 plus years, and I jumped on it. And it had to go through a Dutch company in the Netherlands, and they were processing it with one of the web companies here in America. But it was amazing.
I had the exact same story, Jim. that peterdanish.com was taken for the last 10, 15 years. And it was a designer, like someone who did like landscape design in California. And I even reached out and said, you don't do much with this. Would you be interested in? No, he wouldn't let it go. So I found only this year did peterdanish.com open up.
That's
so now
right.
I'm at peterdanish.com again.
Yeah,
.org, .net, .everything. Yeah.
this year.
Yeah. So this is the year.
Did you have to pay through the nose to get it?
No, I had a similar instance. I Googled and said, wow, this thing, nobody's got it. So I just immediately went out and grabbed it. And I transferred my site over to there probably back in like August or so.
That's good.
Yeah, it was. What are the odds, right? That you and I both would have this same issue.
Got the .com.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The .net's nice and all, but the .com is still where it's all at. And I have the .tv and the .live and the so Juanita in South Africa says it's 3:45 a.m. there, so she's there. And she also says tomorrow is good. You guys are still safe.
Thanks, Juanita.
Thank you, Juanita. Good to know.
That's it. I always check in with Juanita. Thanks for sharing this beautiful music as well, and thank you, Rita and Peter, for sharing this beautiful album. Do you see a sequel? Do you see more of such projects?
Funny you should mention it. We're being asked, ironically, Rita immediately had an idea for a song after we had finished and said, can you put one more on? Can you put one more? I said, no, we already submitted it. It's being mastered. And she said, well, I've got one for the next one. And I said, I have one for the next one too. So let's start the ball rolling. And oddly enough, I got a couple of phone calls from theater owners saying, are you guys planning to perform this live? And I said, that wasn't really our plan. This was this was like, first of all, it was a ton of work. Second, it's a big sing for Rita to sing all these various styles.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm harmonizing with myself, and
yeah, she does. On some of the songs, Rita does 5 voices. There's a song on there called Slavite Gospoda, okay, which is an old Yugoslavian prayer from the Orthodox Christian Church. And I had heard this as a kid, but if you ever heard Eastern Orthodox music, it's mostly a bunch of guys with big black hats on and long beards. I go, oh. Yeah. I had stumbled on a Bosnian girl group. I'm going to call them a girl group, a choir, that recorded it it was just a recording from a church service, and it just absolutely knocked me back in my chair. And I played it for Rita, and she said, "Oh my God, this is so beautiful." But how do we do it? Because it's like a 20-piece choir. Well, Rita sings 20 parts. Well, not 20, but she does
a bunch of parts.
Like 5 parts.
Peter mixed them together.
And we pulled it all together. And that song, Slavite Gospoda, is an Eastern Orthodox chant. It's Psalm number 135 from the Psalms, or 131, depending which Bible you're looking at. And Rita had the pleasure of singing in Serbo-Croatian Bosnian for the first time.
Peter's wife was the dialogue coach. She
was the dialogue coach.
Yeah.
And it came out otherworldly. In fact, this one you'll get a kick out of, Jim, because our mutual friend Mario said to me, "Oh my God, I remember that song from my childhood. Oh my God, it gave me goosebumps to hear that. It was so cute." He's like, "Where did you find that? How did you think of that? That's an Orthodox chant." I said, "I know." But it was one of those things, as I said, in the research, and as I wasn't kidding around, the research was fun. Make no mistake, it was a lot of work, but it's fun.
How did you know what to select and include on the album? That must have been, I'm sure, the process of elimination where some songs maybe you wanted to put on weren't able to fit on it. How did you know what to end up with? That's always difficult.
That's a good question, because One of the ones that I sent Rita initially, another Latin piece we dropped because we've got like 5 Latin pieces. I want to add one more English language one, and the English language one we added was Mother Teresa, which came up at the very end. And it kind of felt like I didn't, because the difficulty is, as we said earlier, Catholicism and Christian churches have a tremendous history and a literature of music. Not everyone does. So it was a lot of work to try and be as inclusive as we could possibly be. Ironically, since we put the CD out, I've gotten calls from a half dozen friends saying, "Oh, I've got a Hindu chant for you. I've got an Apache Indian prayer for you." Wow, bring them on.
Yeah.
So we've already got about a half dozen selections that we could start to play with. And as I said, it was born of a theater manager saying, "Are you guys planning to do this live? Because next Christmas, I'd love to have you do this."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, let's think about it." The problem is it's only 40 minutes of music. It's not really enough for a stage show per se, unless you had
come up with things. Yeah, by next year, hopefully, once the vaccines kicked in and we can have live performances, which is something I'm worried about. Yeah. Maybe we can have some people singing harmonies or other instruments, and we can work on a stage production, which would be a lot of fun.
And you might chat with the audience a little too and explain the songs, give the backstory of the music.
Like turn into something really, really neat. But it wasn't something we initially planned on, but we're not closing our minds to it.
So when it comes to pass, which I think it probably will, when you need that host and MC,
there you go.
one of the hats I wear. Tell us the name again of that song, Slavati. How do you pronounce that?
Slavite.
Slavite.
Gospoda.
Gospoda. Guess what we have right now? And it isn't goulash. And it's not goulash. Enjoy, folks. It's really absolutely beautiful. Here we go. Mm. Mm. Just
And
letting that soak in. That really
everything
sucks.
you heard there was Rita singing like 5 different parts. And you heard a tambourine, and at the very end, a little pipe organ at the end. And all the rest was her doing the various harmonies.
So is it like an overdubbing process to create that extended, almost sounds like there's a whole choral group with you?
Yeah.
It's a drone.
Just track after track after track. Yeah.
Yeah. How long does it take to do that? What's that process like?
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the truth.
You had a full head of hair on before you started, right? That's how long it takes.
But that particular piece, it wasn't as crazy hard as you might have thought, because what I did with a lot of it, as Rita recalls, was that entire song is pretty much 2 chords throughout the whole thing. And all I did was have her sing the 2 notes for maybe 2 measures or 3 measures. And then I just cut and pasted them for the duration of it, and then added another note, and then cut and pasted it, and then another note. And we kept building and building and building, and put that very, very high harmony on the Alleluias, and then put a lot of reverb on that to make it kind of sound like it was coming from infinity.
Angels. Yep.
The angelic sound to it. Yeah. And boy, that was, it was funny because remember, Rita, when we were recording, you're like, I don't know what you're going to do with all of this stuff, but
Okay. Here we go.
and I was like, I've got it in my mind. Don't worry, I've got it.
Wonderful comments coming in from the loveity viewers as well. Brilliant Peter. Linda says, such an incredible, beautiful voice. Tess says, glorious Rita. Sherry's asking if this can also be purchased on CD.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's
There are
again through
physical CDs.
the website.
You can get it on the website, or you can get it on Amazon.
Amazon has it too.
Hard to find on Amazon, though.
Is it? Do you go by Simple Prayers or by your names?
Simple Prayers for Challenging Times.
Right.
Put the whole name in to
The
find
whole
it.
thing.
Yeah. Or just go to our website and you can buy it there, and we'll send it to you. So there's fulfillment on the website. So you don't have to worry about that.
Give us the website address again.
It is simpleprayers.org. O-R-G.
Simpleprayers.org, because people have been asking about that as well. More comments coming in. Juanita in South Africa, did you see her comment?
No.
Isn't that cool?
I want to do an Afrikaans prayer.
I love it.
Yes.
Thank you, Juanita.
Love it.
Oh my
Mhm.
God.
Thank you. Oh, that'd be
Send
so
Jim
cool.
the translation so we could do this.
Yeah, send it to me, Juanita. You
We'll
have
give you
the
credit.
email address.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
Oh, that'd
Thank
be
you very much.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Love
Yeah,
that.
really cool stuff. Christine Clifton says, simply divine, gorgeous harmonies, incredible music tonight. I agree 110%. And thank you for sharing this evening with us and such beautiful music. Perfect for today.
Okay.
And our loveity Bernadette is on it. Simplyprayers.org.
That's it.
She typed it in. Thanks, Bernadette.
Right.
We love it. There it is, everybody. That's the
Thank you,
website if
Bernadette.
you're looking for the physical
There it is.
CD or what have you. We do have one more, and I think it's so perfect for, and we won't want to play them all because we want them to get the CD or to download or what have you so they can hear it all. But this little light of mine, I think, is so perfect for everything that's going on. Tell us about this one.
This is what we discussed earlier. This is inspired by the NASA recordings of the vibrations of the sun. And when I heard them, they were so cool. I got goosebumps. And I immediately thought this would be, and I thought for whatever the reason, as Rita was saying, this little light of mine, the sun, because the sun belongs to absolutely everyone, right?
Right.
And I heard that sound, and it sounded a little bit like a didgeridoo, almost like one of those Australian instruments. I put it into the synthesizer as a patch, and then I was able to use that as the accompaniment for the song. And as I said earlier, I had a piano playing the chords, and Rita had the idea to yank the piano out entirely and just have the voice float kind of out
Just
there.
wanted it to feel like it was suspended in space, because you're looking almost like you're looking at the sun from far away, and it's very personal but yet universal. So you've got the large and the small, the drop in the ocean, you're the whole ocean. That's lightly there.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's really beautifully said. And let's enjoy it, folks. You're going to enjoy it immensely. And listen for the sun. The first time you're actually going to hear it. Another world exclusive on the Jim Masters Show Live. Yet again, another world exclusive. We also are bringing you the sun. Every night we bring you the light. Now we're bringing you the actual source. Well, one of the sources. There's a couple sources. Here we go. Enjoy, everybody. And you can refill that glass, Peter, while we play it if you need to.
I'm gonna go get one.
Oh, it's empty. Here we go.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All through the night, I'm gonna let it shine. All through the night, I'm gonna let it shine. All through the night, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I roam, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I roam, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I roam, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it
That is amazing. Really, absolutely. Your voice is exceptional. I know what Peter was talking about. He was looking for this certain sound that has this clarity and this clean, crisp, clear sound that has, it has this angelic quality, like some people have been picking up on. It has this warmth and this depth, but also this hopeful youthfulness to it as well. I hear youth, I hear hope, I hear positivity, and it's just got a total. It draws you completely in. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Your voice
Thank you.
just completely sucks you right in. And it has with every single song that I've been hearing. It's absolutely like it cuts through ice. It's extraordinary. And I know what Peter was looking for, and he certainly got it, because it's so perfect for what his dream has been with this, and then him matching the instrumentation and the musical prowess, wrapping it, enveloping, having your voice in an enveloping, kind of like, the way we revolve around the sun.
Yeah.
You're the sun, and he's the earth
Oh
that was
my God.
revolving around you with this project. That's what I'm.
Sweet. Thank you. My gosh.
But then again, people say I operate from a higher consciousness or something. So that's how I'm. That's
Nothing wrong
that's
with
my
that.
interpretation of it. I hope we didn't lose
Nothing
half
wrong
the
with that.
audience,
Oh,
but
Take it.
It's
no,
funny.
this crowd gets it. They
You
know.
said
They're all.
something interesting there, because several of the people who have reviewed the CD, and Rita and I were talking about this, tend to use Elliot. I'm looking at one of the remarks here. Elliot Forrest, who's the WQXR DJ,
Announcer, yeah.
he said Rita Harvey's voice is clear as a bell. It's like, whether you're a person of faith or not, the songs are a soothing respite for these difficult times. And it kind of made me laugh, because I said to Rita, a lot of people say you're clear as a bell. And
There's a clarity there.
I don't know
There's
what that
clarity.
means, but I
Yeah.
like it, but I'm not quite sure. What do you mean clear as a bell?
I don't know.
It's
As opposed to
it's like
what, I
melted
guess?
butter. Yeah, it's like
Oh, okay.
silk.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a total clarity. I know we don't like to use the word, but there's a perfection to the sound in a way,
Oh,
but
wow.
yet not in a rigid way, in a warm way.
Wow. Well, it is interesting that Peter and I were looking for a specific sound, and it took a little bit to find, because I've been using so many different styles and sounds.
Exactly.
And it was really fun to find it and say, oh my God, okay, that's that one, because it feels delicious to do.
Yeah.
It just feels
Right.
lovely.
Well,
it's
I'm
so
watching
good.
you. I'm watching you both. When I love to do this when the guests are on the show, to see when we're showing things of their creation, because we're all creative people. So sometimes when things are played, or when we hear and see things back that we've done, the reaction, and both of you are sort of being swept back into the project. Like Peter, for the audience, when it's playing, he's going, he's sort of going like this, and he's completely transformed back into the project. And you are too. You lean back and you're tilting your head, and you're almost like you're singing along with it again, because you're feeling. And when you've worked on the project, there's that other level of knowing all the work that it took to pull it off, to bring it together. And then when you get a chance, you've done the work, you've done good, you've done the job, and now you're hearing it back. You're hearing the results of the blood, the sweat, the tears, all the emotion that's been put in. It wasn't just a project, we got to bang out a CD. This was wrapped up in a lot of love and emotion. And when you're hearing people get it, they're getting what you hoped they would get, and then some. It must make both of you feel, you did what you had hoped.
It's so satisfying, because I wonder, there's people that are in the business, that are other singers and other musicians that's who I worry about. That's who I think, oh, they're going to be they're going to be more critical than most. And so I worry about their reactions. And a dear friend of mine, who's the premier voice teacher around here, heard it recently, and I was all worried about what she would say, because not that she isn't wonderful and complimentary, but she knows her business. So I was very curious to hear what she had to say, and she absolutely loved it and got what we were going for. Got that. She said, I feel so calm, I feel so you know, it centered me. I mean, she really understood what we were going for, and that was so satisfying to me. It just made my day.
And
You
you,
know,
Peter, as well. I would imagine the same,
it's
huh?
funny because you never know what people are gonna feel. You know what you feel, what you envision, what you imagine, and then you hear, like, someone said to me the other day, "Oh my God, it's like a warm bath," and I said, "A warm bath? Okay, I'll take it."
Okay. Yeah, great.
But
That's what it does.
it's funny because one of the things Rita said was, because she does a lot of yoga, and she spends
Yes.
time in the yoga studio, and probably 20 people have told me that already. People I don't even know are saying, "Oh my God, where can I get this to play it in my yoga studio?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And wasn't something we're shooting for, but I'm hearing it. And the other thing that was kind of funny was, even though we tried to be as non-denominational, Rita knows where I'm going with this. Yeah, we tried to be as non-denominational and as inclusive as we possibly could. Most of the requests I've gotten for CDs from radio stations have all been, not most, all have been from Christian radio. They heard the Our Father, they heard the Ave Maria, and they said, "What is this part of? Can you send us a copy?"
Exactly.
And it's interesting that it wasn't intended as a Christian record, per se. Not that it was anti-Christian, but it was just one of many. But people perceive what they want to perceive often. Calgon, take me away. Says, exactly.
Well,
But
even what Bernadette's saying, I can see why it puts a person sort of in a
in
meditation.
a meditative state.
Yes. Yeah.
And the idea that it's spiritual in general across all faiths was kind of the idea that the name of the album is Simple Prayers.
Mm-hmm.
That was not an accident.
Mhm.
That was, we were all feeling so lousy when we first started talking about this in like August, I guess. And truth be told, Jim, this whole thing came together, soup to nuts, in a little over a month.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 6
Yeah.
weeks, soup to nuts.
It was just pouring out of you both. Yeah. Once you
Oh,
got rolling, it was,
Yeah.
What else you got? What
Yeah.
else you got?
What else
Let's
you
go.
got?
right.
Let's we get the studio. Let's go.
And for challenging times, which is so appropriate, and not
Yeah.
just these times that we're having now, these global monumental scenes, but even those rough patches we all have as individuals in our lives that isn't something that the rest of the world may be experiencing. It's something that any one of us goes through in our individual lives, whether it's through the loss of a loved one or an illness or just confusion or trying to find your life's purpose. So all the different things that we experience and as time marches on, this is the kind of CD that is almost anthem-like in that it can really be listened to generally at any time, not just when it's monumental things that are happening. You can pull this out 10 years from now and it'll bring you some of the sensations that you're feeling tonight back again. I see it as much as it is, it has the entertainment value and all. I see it as a reference, almost like a coffee table reference book you have that you, or like a Bible that you go back to and you go back to and you go back to, when you need it, but also when you just want to, something that will be like a constant, like I mentioned earlier, one of those constants, something that is one of those CDs that you don't listen to once and you throw in the CD drawer or whatever, or put on the shelf behind you. It's something you're going to keep going to and wanting more of. I think there will be riots in the streets if you don't produce more, but there will be the good kinds of riots.
You mentioned anthemic there, and there's one track
Yes.
on the record, the final one, that is kind of a flat out anthem. And thank you, Sherry. I just saw your comment. That was
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes, Catherine, exactly.
I was
Yeah.
reading online. There's a world famous opera singer named Stephanie Blythe. She's widely considered like the greatest mezzo soprano in the whole world right now, and she's also a pretty darn good poet. And she periodically puts her poems up online. And one day she posted a poem called "An Invitation," and I read the poem, and it just
Blew you away. Yeah.
blew me away. And I sent her a message on Facebook and said, "Stephanie, would you mind if I tried to put your poem to music?" And she's like, "Knock yourself out." I said, "Oh, that's cool. Thank you." She says, "I look forward to what you came up with." And the way I heard it was this anthemic type of tune. And the funny thing is, she didn't think of it that way. That's how she thought of it as a very intimate, personal type of thing. And we blew it out and really made it into a
Warm
gigantic,
bath.
into a
Warm
big
bath the
shake.
next day.
Warm Bath, name of the next album. Thanks, Ben.
Okay.
But that being said, there you go. And a good glass
Warm
of
bath
wine.
for challenging times. Yeah.
Isn't it nice to get the suggestions from the loveities or
Lovely.
loveties? Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I put it down and I sent it back to her, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's so not how I envisioned it." I said, "You hate it." She says, "I love it. I love it." And then she told me, just FYI, Sir William Bolcom, I go, the classical composer? She goes, "Yeah, he wants to put it to music too." I'm like, ruh-roh. So what does that mean? You don't want us to do it? And she says, "Oh, no, I want you to do it too. I want everybody to do it." And she says, the poem is basically an invitation to sing.
Mhm.
So I sent her the demo of me singing it, and I am not a singer. And she said very plainly, she said, "I love this. I love your version," because that was the idea. And I said, Rita and I were joking, it's kind of like the Sesame Street song, sing a song.
Mhm.
You know, that idea that
Yeah.
don't worry if it's not good enough for anyone else, that kind of attitude.
Mhm.
And when I read it, I said, this is very, very special. This is one we should definitely do. And I have a friend in Argentina who's a musical arranger for films down there.
World.
And he and I worked on this, and we came up with a really epic score of strings and percussion and brass and everything. And it's the last song on the album, and it's also probably the grandest. And we thought that would be the kind of the appropriate tune to close the album with. So, and it was our first single. I think there's a music video of it out there, if you could find that. That's a pro shot video.
Mm. So that really was the topper of the whole thing, huh?
Yeah, that was the grand finale.
Wow. That's
We
incredible.
went out in freezing cold weather to shoot a music video by the river. 100-mile-per-hour winds, Rita freezing. It
It was a beautiful sky, though. There were some cool clouds.
was a
in the
beautiful
that day.
sky,
It was
amazing
beautiful.
day, cold as hell.
Cold as hell, but that's all right.
And so Rita had on this like snorkel jacket until we shot. Then the snorkel jacket came off, and she's in her dress, and then the jacket came back on.
But the best was climbing up on those rocks in
On
my
the
heels.
rocks.
in
Yeah.
my in my heels shoes and the
It's
dress.
very epic.
In the high heel, you were doing that in the high heel shoes?
High heel boots and a dress. Yeah.
Oh my God. You're amazing.
Art.
Yeah.
Trooper.
You are really a trooper. Absolutely. I do want to, for anybody that joined us late, we have the promo too for the project, and I want to share that again for anybody that joined us a little bit late, because I know some people joined late. This is the actual promo for Simple Prayers, and let's enjoy that now, and we'll be back again, folks.
Sing something
From one of Broadway's most beautiful voices comes a new album that will touch your soul and lift your heart. Rita Harvey, Peter Danish. Simple prayers for challenging times. A glorious new collection of sacred texts set to breathtaking music. In these stressful, troubled times, it's just the album you've been waiting for. Songs of hope, joy, and light that will thrill your spirit. Rita Harvey, Peter Danish, Simple Prayers for Challenging Times.
Really nice. Yeah, that's a nice promo. Gives you just a glimpse, and shot beautifully too. I love the textures, the film-esque quality to the way that was shot. Who shot that? The promo, was it just people you know in the industry?
No, we did it ourselves.
You did it yourself, really?
I kind of told you earlier I have a career in television.
Yes, yeah. That's why I said, did you bring in some buddies? But no, you guys did it, huh? Yeah.
And with the help of the lovely Sanello Danish also. Yes.
Really, and everybody's saying amazing, and I mean that's fantastic. This is really incredible. And again, going into the new year, a number of people have already said that they've already gone on and ordered the CD too. They've already ordered it, and I see a lot happening with it too. Like we're talking about all of this response that you've had, and all these people that want to use it for, you know, various events and various projects and various things. I think it's amazing, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah. Is it taking on a life beyond anything you would have expected?
Kind of, sort of, but it's still young. It's only a month old. You know,
so yeah, that's true. It's so good. It sounds like it's something that we've had around us for a long time. And that's the key. A lot of people are hearing this for the very first time right now. So it's still fresh. It only came out in early December. And so what inspires you, Peter? What are some of the things that move and inspire you? Some of the blessings and the joys and your life that inspire you to create all of this magnificence that you've created all these years, actually?
Well, we are blessed, both Rita and myself, to live up in the Hudson Valley. And the shots you saw in that clip were at Hook Mountain State Park, right on the Hudson River. And we have, I got to tell you, coming from Hudson County, New Jersey, where I was born, where it was, very much kind of inner city. I've been in Nyack now for 27 years. And to have 3 state parks within 15 minutes of you is a blessing. And to have that kind of awe-inspiring natural beauty everywhere is really something. I would regularly, when I was writing, take my laptop, go up to Hook Mountain, just sit by the river with a thermos of coffee, and you're inspired by it. It's spectacular. But ideas for me, typically, I don't know where they come from. They just kind of sprout. One of the things I'm working on right now, I wrote a play about the final meeting between Leonard Bernstein and Herbert von Karajan, the 2 great conductors.
You're not going to believe, as you just said that, look what Jennifer in Allentown, Pennsylvania just wrote.
There you go.
Is that not serendipity or what here? Just as you said that.
We'll be in touch, Jen. We'll be in touch. But I was in a restaurant in Vienna, and I had Leonard Bernstein's collected letters with me as I was having a cup of coffee, and the waiter said to me, "I waited on Maestro Bernstein many times." Really? And he started telling me a story about the time these 2 guys met right before both of them died. And I said, wow, to be a fly on the wall of that conversation I said, where did they sit? He says, right over here. And I went and sat in the booth where they sat, some 30 years prior. And I imagined the conversation between them. I took out my laptop, and in 2 hours, I had a draft of what I wanted to be a play. Now, it's taken 2 years since then to massage it into something. It was supposed to happen off Broadway this year. COVID hit. We had about 4 different productions that were going to happen around the world. They all disappeared because of COVID. But the idea that the idea was born purely serendipitously. It wasn't something that I worked on, thought about. It was something that this guy mentioned to me, and it seemed, what a cool idea. I'll give you another example that has to do with our friend Mario. Okay, a couple of years ago, Mario did an album that was a tribute to Mario Lanza. And a year or so ago, he and I went to see a cabaret singer perform, doing a tribute to Barbara Cook. And Mario turns to me and said, why don't you write something like this for me? And I said, okay. And I wrote him a one-man show on the life of Mario Lanza. And with any degree of luck, it's something we're going to be doing in Athens later this year. And I had no interest in writing a play about Mario Lanza, but he just turned to me and said, why don't you write something for me? And I thought, he just put out this album of Lanza songs. Let's do it. I started to research. Lanza's life was so incredible. It wrote itself. And we're actually going to be doing a live stream of it. Details to follow. There's going to be a live stream in a couple months coming from Florence, from Italy, actually. But in terms of the idea, I can't actually say I've probably ever sat down and thought about, let me create something like this. My novel, The Tenor, that I mentioned, I was reading Ariana Stanisopoulos. I don't know if you ever heard of her. She's Ariana Huffington now. Ariana Stanisopoulos wrote kind of the quintessential Maria Callas biography. It's right up here. And in the Callas biography, there's a little anecdote, just like one page, about an Italian soldier who used to sit outside Maria Callas's window at night and listen to her vocalize when she would practice. And I said, that's a cool story. I wonder who that guy was. He must have been a singer. I bet he was a singer. And from that came my novel, The Tenor. I started to research which battalion was in Greece at that time, and it just took off. I think that quite often, either the universe or God, or whatever you want to call it, puts clues out there for you, puts coincidences out. My grandfather used to say that. Listen to the coincidences. It's God speaking to you. I love that line.
Oh, nice. That's great.
And that often, when something like that happens, it's so much more. It's so much easier to follow, because it's sort of like what we were talking about earlier. When a song comes to you, like the two that you played, Rumi, but more closely, the Mother Teresa. I saw the prayer. Someone sent me, just being nice because I was having a bad day. Someone sent me the prayer, and I said, I wonder if anyone's put that to music. And by 9 o'clock that night, a song was done. And I sent it to Rita the next day. And Rita's mom's name is Teresa. So she's like, oh, Mom's going to love this. She's going to love this.
And she does. Oh, boy, does she. Yeah.
So, but I think more often than not, John Lennon had a great line. John Lennon said, and I'm paraphrasing here, he says, I have the skills and the knowledge of the craft to write a song right now. He said, but why? Why would you write something just for the sake of writing it? If you're not inspired, you're never going to write anything good. And that's kind of, I think how all great art is inspired by something. I think very little of it is cold and calculated. You have to be moved on a certain level to want to create something that it doesn't. I don't think that a lot of people work on commission and are capable. just because you're capable of something, that's not to put it down, but I think the great art is often art that's inspired.
Mm. You feel that way too, Rita?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have such kind of respect and awe for writers, people that write music and novels. And I'm married to a composer also who's, I'm just in awe of people that can do that. I'm more of someone who I hear it and I want to be a part of it. I want my voice and myself to be in it and live in it and interpret it. And I've written one song in my life. It was for my parents' 40th anniversary. I just feel like I do a Linda Ronstadt tribute show. Believe it or not, I sing rock and roll also. So I do a tribute show to Linda Ronstadt, and in reading her novel or her biography, she talks about how she never wrote anything either or played an instrument, but she just wanted, it was about when she heard something she loved, she wanted to inhabit it and sing it and share it with the world. And that made me so happy because that's how I feel. And so it was just a perfect fit to be able to, I do this tribute concert with hers. And I mean, not this year, but hopefully we'll book some more of them next year. But that's, yes, and it's hard because when someone presents you with a song, you have to find a way to be inspired by it. Sometimes you're hired to do it. And so you just have to find a way to connect to it. And there's always a way that you can find to connect something personal to it. And that's our challenge as performers, as artists who don't necessarily write our own material, but we find our own way to make it personal and universal and, definitely personal. So what I love is that everything Peter sent me, I would say, oh my God, yes, I have to sing this. It's not a question of, sure, all right. It's yes, oh my God, this is great. This is perfect. And lately I've been looking for songs in the same way. And it's funny. I listen to them and it's fine. That's fine. And all of a sudden something will hit and I'll listen to it over and over again all day until I know it. And I'm singing my own version of it. And it's, so it's more that inspiration is what do those words and that melody mean to me personally. And then I take it from there,
I think the interpretive artist, like the singer, is the interpretive artist, if they're not a singer-songwriter. And I think that is the biggest challenge because, and I say this as someone who can't sing a note, and this kind of dovetails into what we were saying earlier about working with talented people. I can say this to young artists out there, work with talented people because they bring so much to the table. And not just as a songwriter, but I think as a playwright, working with directors and actors and stuff, quite often they find for you what your story is really about. And interpretive artists, singers often find the right way for a song to have been done. And I came across that on a half dozen numbers on this album that as Rita, how many of our songs actually were the original styles? Very few. They all evolved.
They changed and evolved.
Yeah.
Yep.
They all evolved, whether it was tempo, arrangement, key, etc. They all evolved into something. And in each case, I can say conclusively, each was better than the original demo. That the sum of the parts was greater, and that was kind of it's wonderful. Not everybody likes that. Not everybody likes working with people. A lot of people, and I've had this. I've been that guy a little bit in the theater. When an actor takes a line that you've written and does it a certain way, and you want to tell them, no, that's not how I meant it, but you don't want to. You never ever want to stifle creativity, ever. And it's hard to say, it's not what I want, and you try and be as patient as you can and you try and listen. And quite often it's a case of, all right, this is a choice. That's all it is. There isn't a right way or a wrong way. This is just a choice. This is, and far too frequently, I think, as the person who's like the birth father, so to speak, of a piece, you think the way I thought of it is the right way.
And the only way, yeah.
And the only way. And quite often, that's not the case. Jim, how many times have you, submitted a script, and an editor takes a red pen to it and you're like, no, what are you doing? And then, but if you, serenity now and you understand why people are doing things, always try, and I mean, to the extent possible, you always try and go in with an open mind rather than because provided you work with decent people, I think you're going to be surprised more often than not that the results are often, if not always, elevated from what you started with.
It has to do with finding the right person for that project and then trusting that that person's going to have the same vision that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Because that person has to make it personal. Watching my husband work with directors for his shows and that person has to have a personal vision, but that vision has to line up with what he originally intended. So there's a back and forth there. Once you line it up, then say, okay, I trust your vision. It's close enough to mine. Go for it and make it personal. And I think that's with any project.
Because every once in a while, you can have somebody that you work with that you admire and they admire you, but they don't get the joke. They don't get the punchline. Exactly. They're not getting and feeling what it is that you're. And do you find that sometimes that can be hard if you are somebody who tends to be somebody that generally in life goes deep with everything? You tend to be a deep person or a thinker that not everybody's going to get that or go to that level or allow themselves to go.
You want to take that one, Rita?
I'm sort of asking that for myself too.
Another child here.
Yeah, it's like sometimes they, it's like, if you don't get the joke, why did I even tell you the joke? It's sort of like, So, well, it's also really great for solidifying a lot of what we've been talking about on this show since the creation of it back in the spring is bringing fresh ideas, collaborating. We've been in a period where nobody listens to anybody, where everybody is speaking, yelling, shouting, talking, but nobody's listening and nobody is wanting to collaborate and listen to other thoughts, other ideas, other visions, other storylines, whatever it may be. And every once in a while, like everything Peter has said tonight was, I had this idea and then this orchestra, this conductor in Greece and this person here and I brought it to them and wow, I didn't think of that. But what they did took the thing to this level and added here and added there. That's because Peter is open enough to allow others to come in and either participate or review or suggest or just let it, sweep over them. And I think that in the long run in our lives, having that opportunity to allow others, as opposed to being so divisive and separatists and, well, it's my way and that's it and this is just my thing. It's much more, the earth likes to turn on its axis a lot more smoothly when we're all at the table and we're all bringing our ideas into it, because sometimes it takes this little thing and it turns into this extremely beautiful thing as a result of some of these other little nuances that are added in. It doesn't change. It doesn't mean it has to change the initial dream, vision, or mission, but it might sprinkle in some other little nuances that are absolutely extraordinary, right?
You just made me think of something there, Jim. About 2 years ago, I did my first ever short film, and it was called The Blind Date, and it was kind of a serious, quasi-depressing story about a young woman facing a very difficult choice. And I was planning on composing the music for the film myself. And then I heard a song by a friend. Jordan Rudis, who's a mutual friend of Rita and myself. Jordan is the piano player in Dream Theater, the heavy metal band. And he did a solo piano album that he gave me a copy of a long time ago, and I really didn't listen to be honest with you. And I had it on one day, and I said, oh my God, that song would be so perfect for this scene that I had in mind. Because the song is not really in any key. It's amorphous. It's all over the place. And it kind of is out there, and it asks questions, and it doesn't resolve itself. So I gave him a call and said, hey, Jordan, would it be possible for me to borrow that song for this film? And he was like, I don't know, tell me what it's about. I told him, and he's like, I'm not sure.
I can see him.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I said, I tell you what, let me send you the script, and I will put the music in. I'll read the language and put the music in where I envision it. And he said, okay, fair enough. And he called me back and said, wow, dude, is that what you hear? Is that what you think of when you hear that song? I said, it's not that I think of that image when I think of that song. It's that I saw that image and I thought of the song. And I said, frankly, you've changed my whole mind about composing the score for this film. I would love to make it just a solo stark piano score underneath it. And he said, well, if you want to give a listen, I've got a whole album of it, and I've got a whole bunch of things that we've never released before that you can give a listen to if you want. So I did the whole film. It's only a 22-minute film, but I used 3 or 4 of his solo piano pieces. And at the premiere of the film, I looked at him, and he was almost like white as a ghost. Were you there that night, Rita? You were there at the center,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And afterwards, I said, so what'd you think? And he looked at me, and I said, uh-oh, he hates it. And he hugged me, and he said, oh my God, man, I never, ever imagined those tunes in that way. He said, wow, I got to go back and listen to him again. He says, I can't believe I felt like I was listening to him for the first time. It was like they weren't even my songs. Putting them in that context, he's hearing that song while the girl's alone in the taxi cab. He's like, oh my God, that scene when she's alone in the dining room. Oh my God. And it was clear that the context changed his whole way of looking at the song.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool, because now he's like, when are we doing something again?
Right. It's like a rebirth. It's like a rebirth of the song and of how he perceives it. Right.
Yeah.
Is that amazing?
Well, that's what I was saying about when you say the interpretive artist. He had never, and he was the creative artist, not the interpretive in this case.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't see those songs applying to these moods and these situations. But when he heard them as the score for these scenes, he's like, wow, I never imagined you could listen to those songs and get that from them, which was kind of cool. Because that's the beauty of art.
Yes. Everybody sees something differently in the painting, the
Yeah.
sculpture.
Playing the song.
Right. Exactly. And if you listen to a song more than once, especially something that may be of instrumental nature, you'll hear so many different nuances, so many different instruments that you miss the first time. That little, maybe 50% into the song, there's this musician that all they do in the whole song, and they do it only once, but it's at that perfectly timed time, is take the triangle and go ding.
Yeah.
And when you first heard it, you didn't hear it. You're listening to the whole thing. It's that shock value of listening to it, and it's coming at you, all at once. But then when you listen to it, and I've done that with family and friends, we've played music that, you know,
Can you
we've
play the
heard for
triangle?
years. Yeah. Violin and guitar.
Okay.
But I've always appreciated the person I remember in school, in elementary school, junior high school, that was so excited because their one moment was to do ding. But the music without that ding at that time doesn't, you know,
It serves its
cut it.
purpose. So what did that triangle mean at that moment? Was it a new idea or a new, you know, there's dramatic and programmatic reasons why
Yes. Yeah.
every little
Triangles.
thing comes there.
That's a good way that's amazing the way you describe that. I think you think like I do, because to me, when I hear a triangle, I hear aha moment, new idea.
Yeah.
Right. There's like a, right. Exactly. That's what I hear when I hear that. I'll throw this out there at you guys, since it's all musical. I interviewed in my professional life this, and I've mentioned it on this show to a couple of folks. I think some were violinists and cellists. And I said that I interviewed this person who is a Juilliard grad, a cellist. And I said, you know, I love the sound of the cello. I love all instruments, but I love the sound of the cello. And for me, there's something about the sound of a cello when I'm hearing it, even if it's in a shopping mall and it's in music, it could be Christmas music or something. As soon as I hear the cello, it sort of stops traffic for me. It just, you know, I hear it and it's got me. It's locked me in.
Yeah.
And at concerts at Carnegie Hall, other places where I've emceed, where there's lots of cellos playing, whenever I hear that, I can even hear it off in the distance. It grabs me. So I said to the cellist, I said, well, what happens to me is, as the sound of the cello is grabbing me, it's really going deep for me. It's like cutting right to my heart. And I said, for me, if the heart ever made a sound that mimicked the sound of an instrument, it would be that warm, sort of melancholy, deep, authoritative sound of a cello would be the sound of your heart. And he said, makes perfect sense. That makes sense, Jim. I get it. And I said, why do you think that is? He said, because the cello in sound is the closest instrument to the human voice. And that's why you're humanizing.
That makes sense.
That's why you're humanizing the cello. You're thinking of memories and childhood and depth and like the meaning of everything, the meaning of life and purpose when you hear the cello. Yeah. And that's
true. When you think about it, it's right in the range. It's in the lower, kind of warmer range. And but it is right in the human range. Wow. That's so cool.
Is that amazing? It's amazing.
And it's like it's talking to you and telling you stories, not just a note. There's actually, it's like you can hear someone speaking when you hear that.
Right. There's
melody of a cello.
There's exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Cool. I'm sure, Peter, being in music, you humanize a lot of the instruments. There's things that you get from them that speak to you as well, huh?
Well, it's funny you say that, because one of the things that I've always thought is that there's no instrument as beautiful as the human voice. And for whatever the reason, that was one of the reasons. It's one of the things that's going to make this record hard to do live. That Rita did a lot of harmony stuff on here. Some of it very, very subtle. But it's like painting with a lot of colors and some very fine brushes. That putting and any chance I had where I could drop out an instrument and instead have Rita do a harmony, I chose to, for exactly that reason.
So it's really meant for that studio capability. Yeah.
Really
yeah.
And that if we chose to do it live, we'd probably have to have a second singer do the harmony part, obviously, because your voice is one line.
I feel like if we chose to do it live, it would be a whole different thing. It wouldn't.
It probably would be. Yeah, it probably would be.
Yeah.
And do you feel it would lose something, Peter, if that was the case?
No, I think I'm going to hire Rita's sisters. They're all singers.
That's true. They might
She's
do
got
it.
3 sisters that
do it.
sing.
Well, 2 of them do, but I
Two of
can
them
convince
do.
the other one. Yeah. No, that'd
See?
be fun. That'd
See?
be fun. And
That's
and
fun,
one
yeah.
of
But in
my
general,
sisters
that is
Bethany,
something.
people think we sound exactly alike, so maybe she'll do it.
So that sort of overdubbing effect you can do by having the extra singers. Is
Sure.
that sort of what
Yeah.
will happen?
You
Yeah.
could. It'd take some
Yeah.
rehearsal and some work on it, but
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
impossible.
No.
But it's funny though, because like the song that started the whole project that we were talking about, the Ave Maria, the original version of that Aprile Milo sang, it was a duet between her and Maria Vettere, another opera singer. And when I asked Rita, will you sing this song? She said, absolutely. I said, it's actually, when I first wrote it, it was written for solo soprano. And she's like, no, dude, I want to sing both parts,
Oh,
And
yeah.
and she sang the harmonies, and it was stunning.
Awesome.
I hadn't even thought of that, but she's like, no, I'll
It's
sing
funny
both
that you
parts.
mentioned that one too, because when you sent it to me, I was listening to it up at Hook Mountain. I was
Mhm.
learning it, and I was walking around Hook Mountain and up around in the woods up there, and so that's what I kept thinking of every time we were recording it. I kept thinking that. Also, the recording of Aprile Milo singing it, I mean, her voice is 5 times bigger than mine. It's just massive and beautiful.
Mhm.
And I had to find a way to personalize that and make it work in my voice, which is,
Mhm.
I've got a lot of colors and I've got things I can do, but it's not as huge as hers is. I wanted to, I had to find a way not to push it and make it my sound in this, but I
Mhm.
wanted to also find some of those colors she did because they were, so beautiful. So it was I was inspired by her and her student that also
And
sang with her.
you
But
were able to make it much sound more prayer-like, if that's even an
yeah,
expression.
rather than a big
Yeah.
aria, big
When a
operatic
big
aria.
opera aria, you made
Right.
it a very intimate portrait rather than a big blown out one.
Mhm.
Exactly.
You blew
That's
it out
really
at the end, which you got big at the end because you have to
Yeah.
with the orchestration and
Yeah.
stuff. But when
Yeah.
it begins, it's a very quiet prayer, which
Yeah.
was kind of the way I intended it initially.
because
But
that's hard. Let me tell you, it's
I
high.
know.
And so to sing pianissimo really high is very hard. And his Ave Maria just lives up there. So
Mhm.
that'd be hard to do. I mean, not impossible, but it's hard to do live because it was just you live in that tiny, quiet little pianissimo place up high, and that takes a lot of effort.
Juanita said it might sound great with live with a choir.
Oh yeah,
There is a choir on it.
there is. There
In
is
fact,
choir
if you
on it.
listen to the recording, there's a chorus and Rita, and one cello, Jim, and that's the only accompaniment on that song, really. There's a cello. There's
I think we just lost Rita. She just disappeared. Yeah.
she'll be back.
She'll be back. It's she's got to put another quarter into the phone.
Insert coin to continue. But that particular song, there was once again I reached out to some friends, and I used a choir from Chile, from South America, and they did a beautiful, beautiful background on it, and I was thrilled because once again, hearing it played by an orchestra gives you one feeling. Hearing like this ethereal choir beneath you takes you to a different place. And Rita's performance reflects what she heard in the cans of this ethereal choir. And that guided her to her interpretation. And it was ravishing. She did a fabulous, fabulous job.
Yeah, I tell you, huh? It just turned out to be a work of art. Absolutely. And I mean, again, and the timing of it is so ideal. I mean,
Yeah,
just happened to,
things weren't even this bad when we started it.
So you're going to update it for extremely challenging times. And I think Rita's back.
Simple prayers for chaos.
For chaos. Absolutely.
Back.
Welcome back. Did you have to fill your glass?
Oh, I wish.
We have one more we want to share, and then there'd be a good exit too, is St. Francis. Tell us about that one. We have that queued up.
This is fun. Okay,
Yeah.
so the Make Me a Channel of Your Peace, the prayer of St. Francis, is one of my all-time favorite prayers. But the version that we always sang in church always struck me as kind of a downer. And I said, it's such a happy, beautiful lyric. Why is it such a downer of a song? And so I wrote an upbeat melody for it. And I played it for Rita. And I got to tell you, when we did my demo of it, I had this weird moment of saying, you know what I hear? I kind of hear Andean pipes, like the guys you see at the street fair playing.
Yeah.
And I said, let me take a shot at playing with the arrangement. So I played with the arrangement, and I gave it kind of a South American arrangement and much more upbeat. And then I don't even know how we came up with the idea. We were sitting having a cup of coffee, and the idea of a children's choir helping Rita on the choruses sounded like a cute idea. We have a mutual friend who runs the Hudson Valley Youth Choir. I said, can you make this happen in the time of COVID? And he said, if you don't mind doing a little work, I can get all the kids to record individual tracks, and then you can mix them into, well, it never quite sounds the same when you record all these individuals as opposed to a choir together. Did we lose you, Jim?
No, you're there. Yeah, we got you.
For a second, but we're back.
We got this wonderful choir.
That was Saturn and Jupiter lining up again.
Hey, great conjunction.
So we got this wonderful youth choir to sing on it. And that presented a problem too, because every one of the kids, their voices haven't changed yet. And they all sound exactly the same.
Wow.
So it sounded like one voice almost, not a choir. And I said, oh, this is going to be a pain in the ass. Enter our friend Frank Fagnano again, the engineer, who showed me how to go.
Isn't that a great name?
Fagnano.
Frank Fagnano. Frank Fagnano.
Fagnano.
That's a great name.
Thing, by the way.
Frank took the children and did this, as he illustrated. Went like this. Okay? And then like this. And multi-tracked them. And it made it into a choir, which was wonderful. So we did it. We did a recording of it. Rita sang along to the choir, and Rita said to me, you know what? Geez, we should just let the kids sing it. So I said, that was not the idea. So what we did basically was the kids sing two of the verses, Rita sings one, and then they sing together the final chorus. So it kind of plays back and forth between the two of them. And it's a much more joyful lilting type thing.
It's almost, you can picture being at a sing-along where you're singing in a circle.
Which is a nice way to cap it off, something positive and uplifting. And all right, folks, here is St. Francis. Now, audience, there's going to be a quiz on everything that Rita and Peter said tonight. So get ready to put your thinking caps on. I remember our elementary school teacher used to have us put our thinking caps on in the beginning. Okay, kids, put the thinking. We actually had to do it.
Really?
It was sort of like virtual. There was no cap or anything, but we had to go, okay.
Cap. Oh, there it is.
There we go. There's his thinking cap.
Santa cap.
Well, you know who's also enjoying this evening tonight? Our friend George Burns.
Oh,
He approves. He loves it. he wants the CD too. He's got his cigar. He's one of our cast of characters. He's here every night. And Jeannie's in her bottle, and she loves it too. And we got Gilligan in the back, sent by Dreama Denver, who was a guest on our show, wife of Bob Denver, who played Gilligan. We had a great conversation, and she did her conversation exactly the way you're doing it, Rita, on the floor, leaning up against the couch. It's so much warmer and casual. She did the same thing. Yeah, she did the same. She just wrote a children's book too, and she did the same thing. And so, so the cast of characters are all here enjoying themselves as well. And let's hear a little of St. Francis for something uplifting, and then we'll wrap things up. You know that we have been together 3 hours. It's 10 o'clock Eastern.
Wow.
It doesn't feel like it, right? Everybody says when they come on the show, whether it's the viewers or the guests, that it doesn't feel like that. It feels it just sort of flows, and it's conversational and warm and just happens.
Well, that's a tribute to the host, obviously.
Yes, of course.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Nothing scripted. And you know that, Peter, you and I both scripted and teleprompter and that whole world. I like to do, I think sometimes things are more organic and authentic when you just let it roll. Like all of our personalities and our histories and our cultural, differences or whatever it is, all come together in the conversation. And it's just like a wonderful tennis match, and those are some of the most invigorating kinds of conversations you can have. So with that, we're going to stop chatting and we're going to play some music. This is St. Francis. Enjoy, everybody. And then we'll be back with more loveity. Rita was so emotionally moved by the song, she flew the coop.
Cut out again.
That's it. I guess the signal on the floor in front of the couch isn't working out too well. She would have to go up on the couch now to get the signal.
She's calling her son to say, "How do you work this darn thing?"
That's right. That's right. What's going on here? What's going? That really is a joyous. Yeah. It does make you want to like. I saw you guys were both doing it too. Sort of.
Yeah, help kind of.
You want to join in, like you want to actually join in and sing along.
Well, that's what happened little by little. It was originally a solo for Rita. Then it was a solo for Rita with them backing her. Then she said, "You know what? Just let the kids sing it, and I'll." She says, "It's so happy when they sing. Let's let them do this one." And that is, there we go. And that is the children's chorus of the Deerfield School in Mountainside, New Jersey.
Very nice.
Plug for the
Very
boys.
nice.
Jared Rosenblum, who conducted them.
Can't really hear you, so
Can you hear us now? A little bit?
a little stuttery. But
We'll yell.
I had to switch to my phone because my other camera died. It's a crazy night.
I really should tell everybody before they come on the Jim Master Show Live, make sure everything is charged up.
Battery is charged.
Because we may go long. Could you imagine? Could you imagine what it would cost if we did this, on network?
Yeah, I didn't know it'd be 3 hours. So that's okay.
In the millions, yes. Well, yeah. After we wrap, go walk 3 feet over to the yoga section and stretch those legs. Do you read lips? She's like, you look marvelous. Now you know what Peter was going through earlier.
Just smile.
I better rap before it happens to me. Well, this was absolutely fantastic, guys, and really, really fantastic.
Like, just smile.
Just smile. Smile and wave.
Just smile.
Oh, see, she got that. Yeah, just smile. This was really fantastic, and you guys are. Peter will translate when he texts you later.
Oh, you're suddenly clear.
We're now clear.
There you are.
So instead of I can see clearly now, I can hear clearly now.
Hear clearly.
The rain is gone.
Oh my God. Okay.
Somebody asked earlier, I think it was Tesla Bella, if there was anybody that you would love to do a duet with Rita.
I saw that, and I've been thinking about it ever since I saw her question. I am so lucky I get to sing duets with so many people because we do this Broadway show, this tour of 100 years of Broadway. So I adore singing with our friend Danny Zali. But I gotta tell you, I have a big old talent crush on Josh Groban.
Josh Groban.
I really do. You mentioned, having.
And you're listening, Josh?
Oh, Josh, I have such a crush, and everyone who knows me knows it. And you mentioned having music that you listen to when you had a rough time in your life, and that means something to you. There's a couple of his albums that, for some reason, I was listening to them during a really rough time in my life, and they just healed me. And it just happened to be that I just adored these albums, and so I might cry if I actually meet him someday. But yeah, I think that's who I don't have to gather myself. But yeah, that's I think would be my dream, because I've gotten to sing a lot of wonderful duets with incredible singers.
Yeah.
I feel so lucky, but he's one not yet.
On the list, on the wish list.
On the wish list. Yep.
Santa, if we can get Santa Claus back, maybe, if he hasn't fallen asleep for another year until next year.
It's so awful. There was a couple of years ago, there was a show that my husband produced, and I was in the cast, but I wasn't there that night. I had taken the night off, and Josh Groban came to see it. And
that was the night.
I got to meet him, and I didn't. I was so upset. So upset. I wasn't there that night. Anyway, just
like, hey, Rita, look who's here.
It's like, yeah, he sent me a picture. Guess who this is? I was like, oh.
That's funny. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's incredible. Well, never say never, right? It might happen.
It could happen. You never know.
Yeah, you never know who's watching the Jim Master Show Live. You never know. And it gets archived on our YouTube channel, so you might be binge listening. That would be great. How about you, Peter? Other people that you would love to work with too, Peter?
I want to shout out to Catherine Duclos. Okay.
Yes. Did you see her comments?
Her comment, "We're all just walking each other home," is one that I wrote down as another possible song.
Oh my
because
God.
that expression is just.
Oh.
It's very important, right? Yeah.
It says everything.
It's
one statement. Wow. We're all just walking each other home.
That's really what it's, and we've learned that this year. Well, this
Oh.
year it still feels like 2020 a little bit, but in the
Yeah.
last, we've lived lives. We've lived like 20 years worth of life in like 8, 9 months. It's
Mhm.
been
True.
extraordinary, and it's so very true as we've seen it, or if we
Mm.
turn on the news and we, see this one and that one, and just so much continuing to happen. It's, literally, God bless us all, and that's why I say we have to cherish every day. One of the greatest gifts that we get every day is that our eyes open, and that we're given the gift of yet another day, and it's up to us to do what we do with that day.
Do the most good.
We're
Yeah.
right. We've been given this opportunity every single day for as long as we get the opportunity to open up those eyes. And it's up to us, and to be in a mindset of, I'm a big believer in mindset and emotional intelligence and all these things. And I think it's really important to, your mind can really take you into a lot of different directions. And if you can have some clarity, and like I always say, I usually say it at the end of the show, but I always tell everybody to breathe from the diaphragm and relax. Take time to, get out in nature and listen to beautiful music and watch old movies and watch reruns of Dick Van Dyke and whatever, you know what I mean? Do the things that, and to breathe and relax
Joyful.
when you
Mhm.
can. Because I think, and I've said this before on the show, that I think we were already starting to social distance before we had to social distance for our own health, because everybody had their heads stuck in cell phones. Everybody's stuck on watching what everybody else is doing on social media. And we were already stepping away from each other, divisive, yelling, fighting, and not listening. And I'm hoping that, through all of this, and with beautiful works of art like what you guys created for all of us, that we come back more, not only creative and collaborative, but less divisive, more empathetic, kinder, more compassionate. And we maybe this great pause that we've had, and this pivot that we've all had to do, will, for the rest of our lives, and it depends on how we want to live the rest of our lives, bring us to a different elevated level of consciousness in a way where we really understand what it's all about. Not that the world's going to slow down, but maybe we're going to take steps that are more meaningful now and bring other people in our lives a long way, like as we are all walking each other home, to remember that we are all in this together, and that, it doesn't take much to say something sweet, and it's not Pollyanna to say we're all about loveity. I think that's a great thing, because we need much, much more of that. And in this project, you can definitely hear all of that comes through the labor of love that this has been and continues to be. So that's my hope, because again, I think we were socially distancing already, going in that direction. And I think what happened was, and I mentioned it on the show, I said 3 energies more than likely came together because they didn't like what was going on. And that is a divine, Mother Nature, and the earth came together and said, all right, stop, everybody stop. We gave you life. We gave you this beautiful planet. We gave you nature. We gave you all these incredible things. And what the heck are you doing? You're going at each other. You're destroying this. There's all this bloodshed, all this nonsense that's going on. We're gonna stop it, and we're gonna put a pause, and we're gonna do it when it's the start of a new decade, and it's gonna be 2020, and it's gonna be a live and learn situation for all of you, and not really going to be something that affects the animals. It's going to be affecting the humans, and it's going to be something that you can see as a life lesson, and hopefully maybe come out of it and rise out of the ashes more loving and empathetic, because the way you've been going is not the way we, Mother Nature, Earth, Divine, designed this to be. So we're going to throw a pandemic, civil unrest, we're going to throw in political strife, economic loss, all of it at you at the same time. things that any one of those separately would be monumental, but we're going to do it all at the same time. We're going to throw in some big hurricanes and fires and floods and earthquakes and blizzards and storms and wacky weather, and see what you do, see what you're going to do with it. And I think it was a test from those three energies that are larger than us to see what we do with it. And if
we failed the test.
I think,
we're still in the middle of it.
Well,
Hopefully we're going to learn those lessons.
I think, we've seen the worst. We've seen the worst
lessons.
of the worst come out in people. The greed, the selfishness, it's only about me and what I want. And then in some areas, we've seen the best of the best.
Yes.
Look at this project you created during a time when, it's one of the most challenging times in everybody's lives. There's been things like that where people have done things for the good of humanity and the good of others through all of this. This show, came out of some of that as well, that I do every single night to try to put some light into the world here with comedy and levity and information and entertainment, whatever it may be. There's people out there that are doing, and there is a groundswell, even though what we're seeing on television, we're seeing some of the worst happening. There's a lot of people there's a groundswell of people that are saying enough is enough. And I want to live in a world where it's more harmonious and kinder. And because you know why? The children are watching. The kids are watching. The kids are watching what the adults are doing. And if they're not retreating as a result of it, or thinking that's how you're supposed to act in life to get ahead, they'll start mimicking what they're seeing. Oh, well, that's what you're supposed to do. So the kids are watching. Every time I see something horrific going on, I'm like, my God, the kids are seeing that. And when I was a kid, there was things that went on in the world where, we didn't see it all or know it all because we were kids out playing in the yard. We were playing baseball or swimming in the pool or, watching Brady Bunch or whatever it was we were doing. We were not insulated, but we just didn't know every single horrific thing that's going on in the world. Now kids see it all because they can Google it, or they can go up in their room, and their room, has all this equipment in it that's like NASA. So they can get, everything, and they see it all. So I'm just hoping that we come back stronger and more cognizant of what life's really all about.
That's my prayer, my most fervent prayer. That we learn from this, and our kids learn from it. I mean, that's a huge part of it. Having a son myself is to teach him that that's not appropriate behavior that you're seeing, and that we need to learn from this about our environment and learn about that we're all connected, and hopefully that's the lesson. If there's mostly good parents out there, that we're teaching our kids that we've got to learn from this. We've got to move on from this. We can't let this happen again. I'm hoping that's the lesson that we learn. And it's a hard one, but it took this to do it. Nothing else was going to do it.
That's exactly right. That's what it had to take this wake up call of all these monumental things.
Like an alcoholic has to hit bottom, right?
Yeah.
Before you can bounce back.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
We're approaching the bottom. If this is it right now.
But
there's light. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm telling myself this every day. There are some vaccines, and dare we say things are going to change January 20th. So we'll be not right away, but we'll be okay.
There's a song in there, not right away, but we'll be okay.
We'll be okay.
Not right away, but we'll be okay.
There you go.
Write that down, Peter. He's thinking. Not right away, but we'll be okay.
I want lyric credit.
Tell Juanita, don't forget Juanita, if you're still listening.
It was at 6 a.m. having
that
breakfast.
idea. Yes.
That Afrikaan prayer. We'd love to hear it.
Absolutely. I was so excited about that.
Yeah. You guys are a joy and a blessing, and I really appreciate you hopping on our show tonight, and please spread the word about our show. You guys are welcome back anytime. that you have something new you're working on individually, collectively. We'd love to have you back. And thanks for spending all of this time with us too, 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Wow.
Doesn't this feel like a telethon? That's funny. I've done a lot of those. I've hosted a lot of telethons.
We appreciate you having us on, Jim. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim.
It was my pleasure, and I certainly hope that the show met the expectations you might have had, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I certainly have with the both of you.
Certainly did.
It was uplifting, and we all needed that. So thank you.
Good
Especially
luck with the
today.
project too, especially today. Absolutely. Continued success in everything the two of you are doing, and with this wonderful project of beautiful music with Simply Prayers. And again, for challenging times, it's so perfect. And let's show that. There it is there, simpleprayers.org. Good night, guys. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Sending you lots of loveity.
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 Yes.
Loveity to everybody. And thanks to your audience. You guys have been wonderful.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. A couple more things we have coming. Yeah, definitely such a treasure that you've shared with us. Thank you. It would be a better place if people were kinder to each other.
Absolutely.
Good night, Mr. Loveity. Good night, Loveities. Good night, Rita and Peter. Stay safe and warm. We all need to help each other through.
Yeah.
What a lovely evening spent with all three of you, Jim, Rita, and Peter. Love that. Good night, sweet dreams. Peter and Rita, thank you for spending time with us tonight. Yeah, lots of loveity in the air here, that's for sure. Gang, thanks again, and we shall have you back.
Love it. Sounds good.
All right, you take care. Go stretch those legs now.
Right.
You too, Peter.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night. Thanks, Peter. Good night.
Thanks, Jim. Good night. God bless.
You too. Wasn't that amazing? Aren't they incredible people? And we really got into some fantastic conversations tonight and filled with lots of joy and blessing, incredible music, and really a perfect day as we're still kicking off 2020. 2020 is still very young. The music that you heard is fresh. It's literally hot off the presses. So it's probably the first time that you heard it. And again, you can get it at the website. You can also get it at Amazon and all the other places, as Peter said. And again, true labor of love. And every song is unique too, isn't it? Didn't you find that every song, there is a similar thread, which is just this incredible feeling you get from the music itself and the interpretation. And Rita's voice, of course, extraordinary. She's been doing this a long time as a Broadway star. And Peter, of course, a prolific composer. And again, the classical music editor for our great friends. We love Broadway World, and he's BroadwayWorld.com. We've had some of the other folks from Broadway World as guests on our show. They're terrific. And so good stuff. And hopefully this puts you in a good mood. Like I know all of our shows do. You always express it to me with the Instagram private messages and Facebook private messages and the tweets and everything else that you guys do. All at Jim Masters TV. You can find this episode on our YouTube channel. Feel free to share it if you want to watch it again. I know many of you have told us, and a lot of the guests say they binge watch all of our shows, and that's awesome. I think that's just absolutely fantastic. Beautiful show. I tell you, this week so far, these shows have been something else, huh? As we kick off the new year, Monday was really terrific with all those great comments and videos from our guests of 2020 and the viewer comments. We're going to be doing another one of those shows. We have a lot more of those video comments from our guests that are coming in every single day. I'm getting them all the time now. And from our viewers, there's several more Loveity viewers who've created videos that we're going to be sharing as well. You get to see some of your friends, your lovely friends and viewers coming up in an episode we're going to be doing maybe this weekend, where we're going to play some of the ones we played before, because some of you said, oh, I want to see it again. And we're going to mix in some new videos that we received from some of our fabulous guests who are on the Jim Master Show live in 2020. And the viewers too have been with us. So if you still want to create a video, you can make it on your phone, you can make it on your laptop, you can make it on your tablet. It doesn't have to be anything fancy schmancy. And you can send it to jimmasterstv@gmail.com. That's jimmasterstv@gmail.com. And send us your video telling us why you enjoy the Jim Masters Show live, your experience with it. And that would be great. And we'll play it on the air here on the Jim Masters Show live. Tomorrow night, we've got an amazing guest. Yes, we have wonderful actor Kevin Sizemore, who's going to be here on the show. And I'm sure you're very familiar with him because he's been in a lot of incredible films and television shows and so much more. Thursday, that is January 7th, 2021, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. He is going to be with us. Yes, it'll be on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV and also on our Facebook page at Jim Masters TV. And again, coming up on Saturday, we have Mario Frangoulis coming to us live from Athens. That's going to be amazing. And we're looking forward to having him here. That's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. in Greece. That's this Saturday. That's exclusively on our YouTube channel. So tune in for that. Then on Sunday, George Hutton is going to be with us live from Ireland. Wonderful Irish singer-songwriter, George Hutton. That is going to be 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 8 p.m. GMT, which of course Greenwich Mean Time. So that's 8 p.m. in Ireland, Scotland, and England. That is this Sunday, coming up this Sunday. That is the 10th of January. A number of people asked about George. They've been looking forward to George. And so have we. And then the following weekend, coming up on Saturday the 16th, also live and direct from Athens, Greece, George Paris is going to be here at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and 8 p.m. Eastern European Time in Greece. That'll be exclusively on our YouTube channel. George is a dear friend, as is Mario. And so Mario is going to be here on this Saturday, Mario Frangoulis, and then Sunday, George Hutton. And then next weekend, George Paris, another brilliant singer. He had a public television special as well. He'll be here next Saturday. And then, of course, we've got guests all next week, too. Amazing guests all next week. And we've got award-winning columnist and author and speaker, Heather Dugan. She's going to be here on Monday. That's going to be amazing. On Sunday of next week, the 17th of January, live from Ireland, Ireland's leading country singer, Nathan Carter, is going to be guesting on the Jim Masters Show live. He was on a public television special recently as well. Interviewed him there. Sunday, January 17th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 8 p.m. GMT, 8 p.m. in Ireland, Scotland, and England. Nathan Carter is going to be here as well. A lot of great guests coming up. Don't forget to smile, everybody, and share the smile. Don't forget to share the loveity. That's really important. Don't forget to find your Zen place. Mine, of course, I love the ocean. But more importantly, as much as I love the ocean, I love time spent with loving family and friends. And of course, my work in television and radio and multimedia all these years. Love that too. And doing work that you love and loving what you do is really important in life. And there's so much more. And all the time here with you guys. Don't forget to relax, to breathe, as we always say. Breathe from the diaphragm. This turtleneck sweater looks like it's black, doesn't it? It's actually chocolate brown. See, a couple of people asked this, oh, is that a black turtleneck? It's actually brown. See it there now? There you go. It's got a little black in it, huh? You see a little black in there? So black and brown. There you go. It's a dark brown. I don't know if you can actually see the design in it, but it's got like a design, crisscross design in it. A couple of people asked about that. So it's a comfortable, warm, snug turtleneck. I'm a sweater guy. I love sweaters. So that's why I love this time of the year, because I like to pull out all the sweaters. But it is a brown, sort of chocolate, dark brown turtleneck. I know it looks sort of black, but it's brown. All right. So relax, breathe. And Sherry says, good night to all loveities everywhere. Please stay safe and sleep well. And thank you, Sherry, for your video that we're going to be showing on our show. Thank you for sending that in. Can't wait to show your video. Thanks, Jim. Jen is Zen. You too, Jennifer. Good night. Kathleen Walker. These are the real troopers, the real loyalists that are here sticking with us 3 hours and 29 minutes. Have a great night, Jim. Good night, all you as well, Kathleen, Bernadette. Good night, Jim, and everyone. Stay safe. Stay well. XX. It was definitely serendipitous timing for this episode. Ann, too, in Southern California with us as well. Thank you, Ann, for sticking with us. And I can't believe the one I'm going to show next. You have a good night, Ann. Juanita is still with us. Juanita is absolutely amazing. And she is absolutely amazing. And what a wonderful show. Their music is fantastic. Thanks, Jim. Good night, everyone. And stay safe. You too, Juanita. What is it, 6 a.m. or something there? It's got to be. I know it's really late. You're a real trooper, Juanita. We appreciate you being here with us. And because you're still with us here this late in the evening or the morning, why don't we hear once again some beautiful words from our lovely viewer, Juanita in South Africa.
Hello, everybody. It's Juanita from South Africa.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
The reason why we love the Jim Master Show live is because it's as much fun as summer in South Africa.
Remember to join the show, everybody.
Love you all. Bye-bye.
Now, aren't you glad you stayed up, Juanita, this late? We had to play that again. We're going to include that in another one of our episodes where we have a lot more of our viewer comments and viewer videos and our guest videos as well. And again, just love that one. Thank you, Juanita, for making that. Again, we also thank our very special guests, Rita Harvey, Broadway actress and singer. She was absolutely wonderful. And of course, prolific composer and best-selling author, and also the classical music editor for BroadwayWorld.com. Peter Danish. It was so wonderful having him as well. And again, there is the CD, Simple Prayers for Challenging Times, Rita Harvey and Peter Danish. And again, there's the back of the CD. Wonderful story they had about being on the edge of the lake there and where they were when they took the photo for the back of the CD. There's all the songs there as well for you. It's been a wonderful couple of days, huh? We had the wonderful guests and viewer videos on Monday. Then we had that really beautiful tribute to Sky Aubrey and Dr. Ken Salyer, who passed away. Sky was a guest on our show in the summer, legendary Hollywood actress and wonderful person. And then Dr. Ken Salyer, the renowned pioneer in craniofacial surgery, was actually supposed to be our guest tonight. He was scheduled to be our guest tonight, and he was, so we had to move a few things around. We did the tribute show last night, and then Peter and Rita, we wanted to have them, they approached me and asked if they would be able to come on the show. And I said, how beautiful it would be to have them on the show tonight. So we light a candle to all. Glad you enjoyed that, Rita. We're going to be playing that more often, I think. It was so cute. And your daughter is, she's a real loveity. I wish I was jumping around in that swimming pool about now, but it's a little cold out for that. Thanks for an inspirational and beautiful evening of music and guests. Just what we needed tonight. Good night, Jim and Loveties. My pleasure. I'm afraid to put the television on to see what's going on or what we've missed, but this is a nice respite from some of the chaos, isn't it? The Jim Master Show Live. You have a wonderful evening, Christine, as well. Good night to all loveties everywhere. Please be safe and sleep well. Thanks, Jim. Jen is Zen. Good night, Jennifer. Good night, Kathleen, as well. Good night, Bernadette, and all of you. All right, gang, we're going to sign off. Jim Masters here, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, always a pleasure to have you here on the show. A little funky in the beginning with some of the audio stuff going out with on Peter's feed. But hey, it all works out in the end, right? You just stick with it and it all works out in the end. And it was a really, really great show. Just as a very special way to kick off 2021 this year with the episodes that we've had the last 3 nights, huh? Really like thoughtful and meaningful and inspirational, really cool stuff. I think it's a really good way to enter 2021 together with the way we've done the shows. Yeah, isn't that a cool video, Jennifer? Jennifer, did you see Monday night's show? Oh my God, we had all kinds of videos from our guests and from our viewers, and Juanita was one of them. And we're going to do another show. We have several more guests who have sent additional videos. They're making more videos about why they love the Jim Masters Show Live, and some of our viewers are doing it as well. There's still time if you want to make one. There's still time, gang. We'll include them in, of course. All right, gang. You have a wonderful evening. Take care. We love you all. We'll be back here 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific tomorrow on YouTube at Jim Masters TV, and we'll be on Facebook as well. Share the light, share the loveity, have a watch party, share the links, tell everybody about your wonderful experiences here on the Jim Masters Show Live. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, we would love that too. That's at Jim Masters TV. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Jim Masters TV as well. Love you all. Have a good night. Thanks for being with us. Another great show for all of you. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.